What is happening, people? Welcome back to what is now going to be episode 3 of our Movie Buffed podcast. That's right, video game fans, movie fans, creative fans. This is the time, this is the place to be to talk about all those kinds of things here in beautiful Los Angeles in the Beyond the Summit back studio house in our new little podcast corner, we're kind of calling it here. We have Movie Buffed underway. We also have Hot Cocks, guys. Be sure to check out our podcast over on the SoundCloud, onto iTunes. It's a ridiculous name,
it's
I know.
It's great, yeah, it's fantastic.
We actually have a brand new Hot Cocks going to be happening tomorrow. We're going to be having Phil. What is he now? Head CEO, manager of EG. And they're going to be talking a bit also about the new Optic Gaming Squad in Dota 2, which was announced not long ago, guys. And it's going to be awesome and exciting. We'll have Ken in for that one. But here we are, episode 3. On our last Movie Buffed episode, we took a trip down memory lane as we got to explore The Wizard with my good buddy Dan here. I probably should have got right into the introductions, Dan. How you doing, by the way, today?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Dan. If you don't know me, I'm the director of content here at BTS.
We have to keep introducing Dan because people who watch just think it's like some crazy Silent Bob imposter who's here.
You keep bringing it up, dude.
I know.
They would stop talking about it if you stopped
bringing it up. Guys keep bringing up the Silent Bob.
I'm better with Dope Jesus. I like that. Somebody call me Dope Jesus.
You should ride either one of those all the way through, dude. Those are
Dope
great.
or Dank Jesus is definitely what you are here at Beyond the Summit to us. Yeah, it's great to have you.
So I'm Dan. That's me. So I come from a background of film, animation. I worked in the music industry before I came to eSports. Now I'm here at Beyond the Summit creating content every day with all my good friends and here to talk about games and movies and having fun.
Dan brought in a couple of friends here into the studio.
Yeah.
A couple of creative guys.
I'm
put
super
out some
excited.
Content.
Yeah,
some
I'm
awesome
very excited
eSports
to
content.
Introduce these guys. Obviously, we have Ian. He's the director of production over at One Up GG.
Hey, post-production.
Excuse me, director of post-production.
Post-production.
I have it written here correctly. I said it wrong.
It's okay. I mean,
unacceptable.
Yeah, Ian is a
I
post
assist
god.
with production, but
if you want to learn about editing, you can go to his YouTube channel, learn how to edit. The guy, I steal things. Is it learn how to edit stuff?
Learn how to edit stuff. Yeah.
Learn how to edit stuff. I steal stuff from him almost every day. You can follow him on Twitter, not Ian Sands.
That's me.
He's a G. I also have creative director of One Up GG, Damian Estrada. He's the mastermind behind the League of Legends Breaking Point doc, as well as
may or may not be true.
You might know him as D2E2, otherwise just Damian Estrada on Twitter. I'm so happy to be with these guys. If you know anything about content creation in esports, you know that they are pretty much leading the way in all documentary comment. Hey, dude, yeah. Really happy to have you guys here. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having
happy
us.
to have you here.
Yeah, man. So, all right. I just want to talk about One Up a little bit. So, if people don't know,
because people are gonna be like, what's One Up?
Yeah.
And are you guys just with Liquid? Like, do you make stuff for Liquid or something?
Yeah. Do you want
You're
me?
a pretty good pitch.
Yeah, I always pitch it this way. All right, so One Up Studios was initially founded by Damien, who worked for Team Liquid for a long time, basically solely doing all of their content. And then there was a unique opportunity where people were like, hey, the Liquid content's really great. Let's work with these Liquid people. But then they were like, oh, no, these kind of like attached to Liquid. So Damien was like, all right, let's start a studio that we can do third-party stuff with other teams so we don't have to tie ourselves to Liquid. So One Up Studios was formed, giving us an opportunity to take third-party work, doing commercials for other people in the space, doing work for other teams in the space, and trying to step away from being solely attached to Team Liquid. But the way I explain it to everybody is Team Liquid is our biggest client. Team Liquid is One Up Studios' biggest client, but we still take other work for other teams, other people in the space. And yeah, that's kind of how it was started. By him, mostly.
Pretty accurate.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's sick.
I mean, we at
Thank you.
BTS, we have what we call Dicktown.
Yeah.
Is it kind of
Have
like
you guys
that
heard
in a
of
way?
Dicktown? Do you guys know anything about Dicktown?
We're really bad at promoting Dicktown,
I've heard of
I think is
Dicktown
the
before.
thing.
Yeah, we're pretty big in esports. In general.
But we were the same way. It's like we just make a lot of fun content, but it was like under BTS, and they're like, I know not LD Gorman and Gods are making this stuff. Like, there's got to be people there, and it's like that's what I guess Dicktown would be. So, you know, there's a little bit of a
Yeah, our name just kind of came out of nowhere. I don't even remember. I think it was actually Sam and Ryan who came up with Dicktown.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and now it's our unofficial mascot. We have a Twitter account. You can follow us. It's
What's
pretty
the
cool.
mascot of Dicktown?
Hot Cocks. Oh,
Hot
wait.
Cocks.
No,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
different show. Yeah, you're
Okay, yeah,
seeing
I
the
see.
theme here at Beyond the Summit. So.
I don't even know what the mascot is. I just made that up. We don't have a mascot. Dicktown is just our banner that we run all over under.
Okay.
It's pretty dope.
That's
but,
cool. Yeah.
So most of our audience is Dota. You guys work all over in lots of games, but you've worked with a couple of people we know, EG, for example. What do you guys do with them?
Yep, me again.
Ian kind of headed this one up.
I did, yeah. So we did a commercial for SteelSeries and EG with their new peripheral line, the EG peripheral line, which was super cool. And then we shot 4 episodes of a show called Life of a Genius. If you guys saw that one, it was kind of just exactly what it sounds like, detailing the lives and tribulations of the Dota 2 EG team, being with them at their team house when they were scrimming, and then going with them to the Netherlands for their boot camp out of the SteelSeries office, and then to Kiev.
You shot that all alone, by the way, right?
Yeah.
That's insane.
That one was crazy. Yeah, the one in Denmark, I shot episode 3, and I was editing it on the fly. So I would like shoot some interviews, shoot some B-roll, throw it in the timeline.
And they were coming out fast.
Yeah,
I remember
those last two.
Wait a minute. So when you said that we went to the team, it was you went to the team house alone?
Yeah. So initially it was all of us to do the initial commercial, and then Gabriel, one of our video producers, he was shooting episodes 1 and 2, but we had a lot of time for post, so he would shoot for a week, bring all the footage back, give it to me, and then I would cut it. But then for the boot camp and the Kiev major, they wanted it like immediately, because if you wait too long, it's like irrelevant, right? So I was shooting and editing on the fly all of episode 3. We were there for a week. I had episode 3 done by the end of that week, and then we just ran right into the Kiev major, started shooting there, and then one of our contractors in EU came out to shoot with us. Oh no, Bart was just shooting photos. Gabriel actually came out. He flew out just for the Kiev stuff to shoot with me in the big arena.
Gabriel.
Yeah, we needed 2 cameras for that because it was kind of a crazy event. But yeah, that was fun. It was super fun. Those guys are super cool. The EG guys are awesome.
EG guys, yeah. I mean, I immediately want to ask, like, what's it like working with those guys? The EG team at the time, probably Arteezy, Zai, was Fear on the team?
No, he was coaching at the time. Yeah, Sumail, Universe, and Crit. Yeah, working with those guys is super fun. They're really, really funny, and it's like, I think when you interject a random media person into any team, regardless, if you have a camera, people are like a little skeptical at first. But it was those times when the camera was off and I could just like talk to them like they were human beings, where it like started to get a little bit better, and then they like slowly became like cooler with me, I think. Yeah, and I actually I binge watch a lot of the shows that I'm currently watching now because of Sumail's recommendations. He was watching Suits, and he was like, dude, you got to watch Suits. And I was like, I don't know. And I started watching. I was like, this show is amazing.
Arteezy didn't get you into Vikings? That kid loves Vikings.
No, he didn't. He was playing a lot of, what's that game? God.
One with the knights.
Dota?
Yeah.
That's really hard.
Yeah, Dota, yeah. No, the one with, whatever.
The super hard one that was
Shovel Knight?
It's on console.
No, but I love Shovel Knight.
Give me anything.
God. It's like hyper realistic.
Yeah, you're like a
difficult.
samurai, and you have to go in and like counter people's things.
Oh my god, I can't believe
I
the name of this game.
Was it?
For Honor, that's what it was.
That
Yes.
game's dead
that
now,
stupid
I think,
game.
right?
Yeah,
oh
but-
yeah, they
No,
were
that
playing
game
a
had
lot
a
of
good
that.
3
He
months, I
played
think.
so
It
much
was
of
gone.
that. Yeah.
He was playing Counter-Strike then too. Yeah, actually, you know what? The only reason I know that is because of your guys' episodes.
That's
Because of
funny.
those.
Yeah.
You guys also at the same time. So something interesting that happens in a lot of these kind of shoots is you end up shooting like multiple things at once. So you're shooting this documentary piece or style piece rather, and at the same time you're also shooting a Sennheiser piece.
SteelSeries.
SteelSeries.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Yeah.
That was before. So like, if you guys watch episode 1 of Life of a Genius, included in the first half of episode 1 is we're shooting this commercial.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
that's when we all got there to shoot the SteelSeries commercial, and then we left right after SteelSeries was done, and then Gabriel stayed. But then that just became part of the episode later because
So
it's part of a Life of a Genius. Right?
What is
So-
the difference between shooting something that is commercial versus documentary when working with players and brands and just in esports in general?
They're each of them is more difficult and more easy, but on the opposite spectrum. It's very difficult to get a player to
agree.
like buy in to do a commercial, regardless of whether or not they like or love the product. It's just more difficult to like get them to act and go over lines and like a script and everything, where it's way easier to get them to just be themselves and film. But then conversely, it's like kind of that awkward, like there's a camera guy following us.
Yeah, that's funny.
Whereas in the commercial, it's expected. You're obviously doing a commercial. There's
Yeah.
less of that why are we being filmed sort of perspective.
I feel like that's such a interesting point because there's this weird thing when you're in a room shooting documentary content where you're both a human and a camera, and like you represent both those things. You're actually not just another guy hanging out with them. You represent all these things that they either like or don't like about being in this industry. Like how do you deal with that and make them because you said, oh, it's really easy to make them comfortable. How do you make people comfortable when you're filming them, and how do you actually interact with these players to get them to open up and be honest with you.
I think what Ian was talking about earlier is like when you get to talk to the players or the management or the staff on like a human level, usually best practice before you start like getting really into the thick of it is super important. Like for example, with our league team, like League of Legends is a whole different thing. Like they're used to having a ton of content done around them. Pretty much every team in the league, right?
Those teams almost have like PR training almost. At least that's
they
what
had.
I've heard.
They did for a time. I don't know if they still do.
Is that from Riot?
People
or
are guiding them like, you're going to be going through this. This is what you got to do. So it's noticeable though, I imagine, right? Working with League over Dota.
Yeah. It's a tremendously different world, I think.
Dota, like, they just want to play Dota. They don't want to leave the house. They don't want to even take time to eat. They just want to play Dota, which I respect the shit out of, like, hell yeah, you're doing your thing. You're just playing Dota, you're grinding, but like, well, I'm here to do this thing. And what I've noticed a lot of people do is they put these players up on such a high pedestal, especially because they're used to dealing with their fans and people fanboying out. They're like, oh my God, Sumail, oh my God, all this stuff. Maybe I'll like knock myself down a couple of pegs, but I don't know anything about esports. I didn't know anything about it when I started. I know a lot about editing, a lot about film production. I don't know anything about esports. So when I meet these people, I'm trying to meet them as like a regular person. I don't know their accolades. I don't know some crazy big play that they've done. I'm not like fanboying out. I'm not asking for pictures, not asking for autographs.
Just real.
Which I think some filmmakers in esports actually do. Yes. They get into it because they like kind of like film, but they also really like esports. And then you like immediately damage your relationship with somebody as soon as you're like, oh yeah, I'm here to shoot this thing, but like, can I get an autograph? Like, can I take a picture? Like my girlfriend really like that 100%. Immediately distances you from people.
I feel like that's a weird thing is I like working with people who know esports because it's super helpful, right? You can like talk to them. Like, so if I'm hiring somebody to come shoot with us, right? I always ask them like, do you play games? What games have you played? You know esports? What do you know about it? Blah, blah. It's not detrimental to me if they don't. And in fact, sometimes it's better because I think that if you're really good at what you do, if you're really good at editing, if you're really good at filming, you're going to come in there with that approach and you're going to be able to separate yourself from the scale of these players' personalities and just try to do the best work. Like, do you guys, when you're hiring people to work with you, is it a must that they know esports? Do they have to know the games? Like, do you care? What is it?
I think it depends on the job and the role specifically. So for people that are like, let's say for example, shooting documentary narrative, right? There is a point to where in the creative process, you have to know the history, right? So we definitely ran into scenarios where it's like, I've been doing prior to this league content forever, like for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. If you guys know Damien, if you don't know Damien, he's pretty much been pumping out the style of content that we see every day now is what you started doing in the beginning before people were even doing it with all kinds of shit, but specifically focused in League of Legends. So that's why I think it's such a gift for you guys to be coming to Dota and doing what you do there. For us, it's been fucking amazing. I interrupted though. Excuse me.
No, it's okay. I've experienced this whole process where it's like you bring someone in to do something, let's say League of Legends focused, and there are just like a lot of hurdles to jump where it's like, oh, I think this shot or this sequence or this conversation is really important to the character's narrative or the player's narrative because that references something really bad or really great that happened last year, which was a huge, either failure or success in their career. So we should probably like sort of maybe not make it the main focus, but have these sort of like background subtlety elements, which I think is pretty important. But conversely, you also don't want someone that just knows all the history and all their footage is really bad.
Yeah.
Or they can't edit something at all.
Yeah.
Like they're all dangerous.
There's
like a fine line where you have to have a good amount of knowledge about what you're doing in terms of the game, but then also it's probably a little bit more important to actually know how to do the job.
Yeah.
There's a balance that you have to hit with that kind of stuff. Like he's, again, like I don't know nothing about esports, but he like, well, all the time he'll be like, oh, where's that one soundbite from so-and-so talking about this? And I was like, oh, I cut it out. Like he literally said nothing. And he was like, you don't understand. And then he'll like trace me back 5 years to like something that happened, which then caused like him to go to this other roster. And then they had a feud with this person, but then they ended up on the same roster and then they became like this whole like backstory. I'm like, whoa. And then those are usually the things that people will comment on. They'll be like, oh my God, you left this one thing in there. That's so awesome. And I'm like,
people are, especially Dota. I don't know if you notice in working in Dota, they pay attention to every single detail. They pick out every little thing.
It's like they know the drama. They know the stories. So they're imagining that those same
They're
stories
also-
are going to be plotted out perfectly within these documentaries and content.
Surprisingly about the production too.
Oh, they care.
They care so much, which is great for me because when I was looking through all the comments, everyone's like, "This editing is amazing." I'm like,
Yeah, you got a lot of props for your
But
editing.
which I didn't expect because nobody in League of Legends, nobody in Counter-Strike is like, "Yo, this editing is sick." But for some reason, the Dota community cares about production value.
They take a lot of
which is
ownership
awesome.
over
Yeah,
cares
everything
about
that comes
content.
out. Yeah.
which is cool. Yeah, like they even one person called me out because I like didn't put a crossfade on one audio clip. They're like, "I heard an audio pop." I'm like, "Damn!"
heard
Like
the clip.
seriously, calling me out on one thing. Holy.
Yeah, if you go through our comments, they constantly do that, and you really have to. And so our strategy is like we hide stuff in there for them. Like that is
Yeah,
something
you
that's
have
really
to, I
fun.
think.
Easter eggs.
And I mean, I know you
Yeah.
do this all the time with your stuff, where you're hoping somebody watches it a second time so that they notice it, and that's like I feel like a big part of your process. Like, do you think that's fun? Like, for me, Ken's the one who started making me do that shit all the time. And it's made it more fun to create because you're constantly being super active with all parts, from the edit to recording to like hiding stuff in the background, whatever. But it's like it's really fun and it's rewarding when you have people that actually care about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, one of my goals is to one day have, you know, like one of those dudes that has like the YouTube channel where they analyze content, and they're you know, and it's like, you know, on this shot, you know, X director always places a character in the left upper quadrant to signify the separation from the characters in the lower right quadrant. Like that stuff, one day I hope to get to that
Break it
level.
down, and
to
there's
where-
the quadrant
yeah.
right
And
there.
see, people might not even understand it. Like if the normal guy's watching it, they might not care, they might not notice. There's something in the back of their brain though that is pushing that this is good, this is cool, this is like
Different,
interesting and
yeah.
different, and like it's because you put all that effort in it. It's because like you care so much. But I love all this. I really want to talk about champions.
yeah, we got to get into
Yeah,
champions.
Let's do it.
obviously.
Fantastic
Talk
piece.
about champions.
Everybody who's watching this has watched Champions. If
This
you haven't,
week, everyone, if you're a Liquid fan, like this is the best week ever. It feels like like you guys.
Which we've been so many people since TI, even before TI. They're like, "Where's our Dota content? Where is it?" 2 days after TI, they're like, "Have you got anything yet? Can you release anything yet?" We're like,
Yeah,
"What,
we
dude?
had stuff,
Calm
we had stuff that
down."
was scheduled out to go out that had been finished like long before TI or whatnot that was coming out on the channel. And every comment on every video that came before this was, "Wow, you could do insert name of video here or insert thing, but you haven't done something for TI. Thanks, Liquid."
Yeah, so salty.
yeah. Well, Dota
Everyone's
fans
just
are
like,
pretty.
this is your greatest achievement, I'm sure, as a company, right? Come on, it's TI. Where's all the stuff?
Yeah.
Do you guys even like that you won TI? You know,
But it's one of those things where it's like the people that don't understand the process of production and post-production have no idea what goes on in the back end. Like
Yeah.
we were working 18-hour days for like a week and a half. Like we get in at 9 a.m., we'd leave at 3:34 in the morning, show up again the next morning, like doing all this stuff. We have like additional player interviews scheduled on Skype, and like we have to do all this stuff, and we have to allow time for like mixing the whole thing down and color grading it and making sure that like the schedule stays on point and all the graphics and all the graphic designers that worked with it and like shooting inserts of stuff and doing all the gameplay and learning source filmmaker and like all this stuff that goes into it that people don't understand. They're like, "We saw you there with cameras, like you have the footage."
just simply
Yeah,
show
we have
us
the
that
footage.
footage.
Put it
Yeah,
out.
just show us the footage. Yeah, here you go. Here's 20 hours, you know, whatever.
I
20 hours
appreciate the
just on a
excitement.
timeline exported out.
Yeah, I appreciate the excitement, but like we want to make it good as like artists and creatives, and that kind of stuff takes time, you know. So
Which is
lay off
interesting.
us.
Like, okay, you guys have a super awesome approach that, as like another creative, I'm like very envious of, where it feels like everything that is there for a reason, everything is done for a reason. Something that I was totally into, we talked about when we were watching it over and over and over again, was the sound design in this. I'm guessing that was all you, Ian. Ian comes from a music background, so like you guys have a blessing to have this guy with you. Sound design was fucking crazy in this, and there was so many things. I have a clip I want to play really quick, Eric, if you can pull it up from it. There was something that we both stopped and rewatched it because we just thought it was so cool how you guys had done it. And for me, when I'm looking at this and thinking about it, I'm like, God, when you get all this footage, which literally is probably, you probably had, I don't know, 8 to 12 hours. How many
we
hours?
shot 2 terabytes worth of footage.
Okay, you shoot 2 terabytes worth of footage. You get back to One-Up headquarters, and suddenly you have to think about graphics, sound, edit, story. And all these things have to work together. And with you guys, it always does. It always comes together. Your graphics were super sick. I mean, you know, it's one of those things where you know all the mistakes that happened, and we don't, so we just appreciate the goodness of it. We have the clip. Okay, cool. We're gonna play this one clip really quickly.
What is this clip? I'm so
And
excited.
then we're gonna nerd out about sound design.
Is it going to be?
This is what happens when you jump in. All they have to do is hit the buildings. Now the Chronosphere. By accident. Birdie never gets ahead. That's all she wrote for Liquid. Miracle stunned once. Dead for sure. Ice Blast, the buyback. Ice Blast is there. They do get one. That's a punch. Don't deny. They don't even get the kill. IG have the buybacks if they need them. They've got the damage. They've got the control. The position is theirs. The game is theirs. The series is theirs. And top 6 is theirs.
And okay, so but what's so cool about that is that it actually takes some Dota knowledge to be able to put that together. You have caster audio mixed with sound, with music that's happening, and then Void does a chrono, and chrono happens, it freezes everywhere in time.
And we're in, it feels like, as a viewer, it's like, I'm in the bubble. I'm chronoed. So it's like you hit the mark right there.
Suddenly, yeah, time stops. The casters stop. Like everything slows down. That's just one example of where you guys like went out of your way to really put extra effort. That could be, you could have just shown game footage, and that's it, and then put
Cool
casting,
chrono.
whatever, cool chrono, whatever. That mixing source filmmaker, footage of Kuro, changing the audio, sound design. That makes it super exciting. Damon, you know I fucking hate game footage in these videos.
That's
I don't
what
like
I was afraid
this.
of when I was watching your one podcast where you talked about free to play, and you were like, totally lost me when we went over the game footage. I was like, oh shit.
But you guys do it exciting. It's super cool. So talk about that and your approach, because I think
Dude, this was all him. This Chronosphere thing was all him. He was like,
he knows some Dota. You know Dota.
It was my first love, so.
but he knows Dota, but he had the vision for it. And a lot of times what our working relationship will be is he'll do something and then come to me and like it'll spark something in
can
me.
you make
and
it good?
Yeah, right. Not to that exact point, but like I just have, I think, a little bit more knowledge of audio and stuff than he does. And so he'll do the initial idea. He had the low pass on it. He was like, I want to do this thing where we're inside the bubble where it feels like you're in the play. And so I was like, oh, okay, rad. So then like I will just like go and find some additional sound design elements, the weird like rumble, the weird like distortion waves in the background, mix it down. But it was his idea to start off with. And then we'll go back and forth. Like I'll have this one idea and then he'll be like, oh, like you should try this. And we'll just bounce ideas back and forth. And that's why I think that him and I work so well as a team, because my weaknesses, he has his strengths and vice versa. So
It was
Yin and
pretty,
yang.
it was like a kind of an editing approach to that too, right? Because that play was so long when we had it in initially. That whole play, I think, is probably double or almost triple the length of itself.
It's super
and
long.
we use the source filmmaker moments to kind of get through the play, but still show what happens. So that chrono, I think, actually covers a good amount of just running around and dying that happens right afterwards.
Yeah.
So it was, there was some sort of technical aspect to it that, you know.
we also
did.
strip back the gameplay too. And a lot of times when I'll see Dota stuff, they'll just rip it right from stream.
Yep.
And you see all the graphics on the sides. You see all the, we stripped like
Yeah, you
almost
took out
everything
you took
back.
out the UI at the bottom there.
Yeah.
It had a cool like cinema almost kind of effect to it.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was
We,
really
we
good.
stripped a lot of it back, and we do that for League too.
I do actually want to talk about this process. So I purchased like one of those super wide monitors when they came out because I thought it was
119
super, cool.
super wide, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was like when they first came out, so they were small. So we never actually used it for anything. And it's just kind of been like sitting because like, you know, normal aspect ratio monitors are developers don't really develop for that size. So it's just been, it had been sitting there. And then when we started doing our League series in that aspect ratio, I brought it in so that we could game capture that footage at that aspect. And so for this, I knew that we wanted to go cinema crop on it. So I was like, oh, we have to use the monitors. So
Get dusted off.
Got a reason.
But it works so well
I'm
because
justifying
good,
old
yeah.
school purchases.
yeah,
you know?
because when you shadow play or whatever we're using to capture it, it captures in the aspect ratio of the monitor.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, like, because before in our early episodes of Squad, we would cut from 235 to full screen and then back to 235 whenever we would go to like sit.
Disjoining.
So just gameplay was full screen for some reason because we didn't have a way to actually capture it, but now we do. We can capture it in the right aspect
And-
ratio,
yeah,
so
and I mean,
everything can stay the same.
Even TrueSight just crops in. They don't actually do that. They just crop in, and they crop in on the like replay basically. You have the actual like.
We went in and we re-recorded every single game.
I
Every
had
single one. Yeah.
Gabriel reached out to me and was
Yeah.
like, "How I want this very specific, really cool thing. How do I do it? How to remove this?" How I was like, "Just so you know, like, source is kind of fucked." And
You need like a separate
Everything is weird.
specialist, I'd imagine, for even doing
Yeah.
all the
Oh,
source
100%.
work. Yeah.
Like mad props to Gabriel because he
Yeah,
went
I
out
agree.
and he learned a new program in a game that he had never really ever played before.
Okay, yeah,
And
hold on.
tried-
Let me break this down because like a week and a half ago, you hit me up and you're
Week and
like,
a half, yeah.
"Hey, dude, you know anybody that does source filmmaker work?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. For what?" You know, and you're like, "The Champions video we're working on." I'm like, "Okay, well, I know here's some guys that are really good, blah blah blah," and you end up taking your homie Gabriel, who has done some really impressive work for you guys
Bless
before,
his
but
soul.
has never fucking touched source filmmaker.
No.
And, all right, Dota fans
Doesn't know anything
Source
about Dota
Filmmaker.
either.
They love source filmmaker.
He had touched it slightly for CS:GO, but then he was like, I was not going to deal with
It's
it.
an intimidating program.
It's weird. It's not like anything else.
yeah,
I've done 3D work. I've done
I watched
film
him work in it,
nothing.
and I was like,
It doesn't make sense. But that shit is beautiful. They did a really, really good job.
Yeah, we have Peter, right? Who's just like that.
Yeah.
He's our guy. It's like, you do that stuff. I'm sure it's crazy. You have your like abacus of fucking editing work with that thing, so just go do it.
Yeah.
And then he just makes it happen. It's crazy.
yeah, I get
but
mad props to
in a
Gabriel.
week and a half, learning a new program, putting those videos, it fucking is comparable to like anything from free to play or anything where you guys are intercutting that gameplay and then super cinematic stuff, and then even in the beginning in the intro, which the intro is something I just want to talk about. It's the intro is so cool in itself, and it's like it brings together everything that is like super YouTube popular with like very now contemporary editing styles, and like does it really great. And you guys integrate those source filmmaker stuff really cool. The Broodmother one is always the one that will stand out for me. Is it GH I think it is or whatever?
It's Matumba.
Or, excuse me, Matumba, yeah.
Yeah.
But where it's like, and it's just like Broodmother rocking through. It's so cool, dude. I don't know. That's like,
I want to ask a question about game footage a bit, because you were talking about how it's a big, and I know maybe you're going to be the one to answer this, Dan, but why is it to editors or content people that it's a big no-no to have a lot of game footage in it? Because you'd think as Dota 2 fans or League of Legends fans, if it's League of Doc, they don't mind game footage. They want to maybe watch those plays over again. But why, as a creative person who's making these docs, who's making these pieces, you want to avoid having too much game footage?
well, I think it's very person to person, and I'm very interested to hear your guys' opinion. You know mine. My opinion is that I do not like game footage in pieces that are about people, because I want to show the people and the experience outside of the game. Now, that is my personal creative vision and how I like to show people and whatever. I have only had game footage in like 2 videos ever that I've been like in full control of front to end, but there are cool ways to do it. My problem with it mostly is that people are just lazy and just slap game footage on. Here, we had a whole bunch to texture and put it in. But what is your opinion, once and for all, Damien, on game footage?
So my perspective with game footage is, if the play is what makes or breaks that team's existence in that tournament or that series, it's valuable in that, like, you know, if you watch an old sports documentary, there's the Hail Mary throw, the big play that happens. Obviously, it's a little different because you're watching your hero, like, you know, the protagonist of the thing actually commit that
Physically,
himself
yeah.
or herself, right? Whereas in video games, it's a little more just disjointed because you're like, oh, that's
that's them. That
Arteezy
little
right there,
wolf
right?
man. That's them. Yeah.
And so there is slightly more of a disconnect. I think for me, in-game footage is amazing if you pair it up with like source filmmaker type stuff. Like I remember free to play was one of the first things that ever got me like really, really excited about doing esports content. And it wasn't for, you know, watching the plays from the, you know, sort of standard perspective. It was watching, like, I'll always remember that Night Stalker just like slamming, I think it was Pugna, into the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like that was amazing. And that, even though you'll never see that, like I'm never gonna be at TI being like, oh my god, look at how it made, right? It's just gonna look like a little
Yeah.
and then that's it, and then he dies. But those sort of elements that make that world feel more integrated into everything else is really interesting. And so, like, it's very difficult to do with a lot of other games. I know when we did CS:GO stuff, we messed around with it, but never really got it to a point to where it was like ready to ship. But for this, it was like we have to do something, and so that's, you know, the clips that we have in the series are from that inspiration.
Yeah,
But
source filmmaker is like an animation engine.
Yeah, it's tough for me, right? Because Damien mostly, for the Champions series, Damien mostly worked on episode 1. I mostly worked on episode 2. And episode 2 is the entire losers bracket run, which is a lot of games of Dota, right? So it's like, oh my God. If we were to spend time on every game for every major play, or at least one major play, the thing would have been like 45 minutes to an hour long.
So long.
And we were talking about this on the way up here, actually, is like, I personally am not a fan of gameplay, but I've learned like the politics of the space, right? Where like if you have gameplay in your video, it will make it to Reddit for some reason, right? There's weird stuff like that where it's like, okay, I get it. But
great point.
I think, but I think I want to capture an audience of people that don't know esports, because that's where I was a year ago. When I started at 1UP, I knew nothing, and now I'm like obsessed with it. Like I wear my Liquid gear all the time. I'll watch it like 3 in the morning when the CSGO team is playing. Like I love it because I love the people, I think. And when you show somebody a documentary piece, they immediately get lost when it comes to gameplay. They're like, I don't know what's happening. Like there's just a lot of colors that are flashing, a caster screaming for some reason. Like, why is this a big deal? But then as soon as it cuts to like the human element of it, they're like really into it.
They get it.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important to make it really engaging when you do show gameplay. Otherwise, it's just worthless.
It's hard, and it's a huge time suck too, because like the plays are long. Like it starts from the engage,
You
and
have
it goes for
knowledge.
like 4 minutes.
That's where you can't just be a technical guy and know
Yeah.
the programs. You like have to understand the game and shit like that.
Yeah, there were
tough.
definitely moments in this. So my first love in gaming was Dota. One of my buddies, Dom, like got me really invested into it. Prior to that, I was more of like an RPG kind of nerd. Like
I didn't know
love
that,
my
dude.
sci-fi adventure like RPGs, like Mass Effect.
You're a Mass Effect guy.
Yeah,
I know
Mass
that.
Effect
I know
was
that.
my jam. Like
Nice.
the
Yeah.
Star Wars game, Knights of the Old Republic. Like that was my shit.
KOTOR. You're on some
right?
Dakota shit right now.
And then Dota 2 came around, and I met this dude at like my friend's. We had like a LAN party at his house. His mom like was never there, so we just threw this like random LAN party in this big house.
His mom
right?
wasn't there, so we played video games.
And this dude sits
Like you
next to
do.
me, and I totally feel like he's on cocaine. He was just like playing, like we were playing StarCraft, and he's just like, yeah, like talking about the game, like, no, we should do this. And then like Dota 2 had, I think, was in beta or just coming out of it, and he's like, we should all download Dota and play blah blah. So I was like, okay, like I'll download Dota. So I download Dota, and we're playing, and he's like getting mad at us because we're not like good enough. And then like
Because the Dota's a game you just pick up and you got to be decent with it right away.
Well,
100 some odd
ultimately-
heroes.
it should be
whatever.
obvious, right?
Pick it up and go.
ultimately he ends up being, he's like one of my best friends now, but we like kind of use him as a coach because he had so much knowledge of the game. So he was like teaching us the ins and outs of it and like the whole process of Dota. And so that was the first time that I played a game competitively where I was like, I really suck, but this is really fun working in a team.
Hooked. That is the Dota story. You suck so much, you lose so much. Do you remember your first Dota game? Did we already talk about this?
I mean,
it's mine.
Me, it's a long time ago though. I'm like a Dota 1.
Yeah,
played
but
it
what
when the game
happened to
came
you? Was
out.
it? I feel like it was. Everybody has a story. You're fucking terrible.
Yeah, everyone's bad.
Everybody's yelling at you.
Everybody's
You
bad.
feel bad about yourself.
Why did you TP to the tower?
You never-
Why did you deny
What's
the
a
tower?
TP? What's a
What do you mean I was
TP?
going to die if I deny the tower?
Why'd you buy boots first? I don't know. I want to walk fast.
Do I need to get 2 of them? I have 2 feet.
What's
you
a
know?
tango? You eat a tree? What the
That's
fuck?
dumb.
I am a tree. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm a tree. I don't want to eat a tree to heal. I don't know.
Not,
Yeah.
not a noob friendly, but yeah. if
What was
you're
your
passionate
first
about
Dota?
it-
It was your first Dota game.
I
By the
don't
way,
know.
I've always wanted to make a video where we go through pros and talk about their first Dota game and then pull up the Dota buff and pull up all the stats on it because it's hilarious. Like I don't know. I feel like everybody's just like a kind of ridiculous story and remembers exactly what happened.
I mean, it depends on the people. Like, some of us were from the old gen Dota 1 days, so we just happened to stumble upon Dota as a game as it became a custom game in Warcraft 3 and just slowly evolved into the game it was, and you're just there in that ride the whole way through as new heroes come out, new mechanics come out, all conformed around the Warcraft 3 engine. But yeah, when Dota 2 came out, then it was really
wait.
something special.
You played. Okay, I guess you played Han. You played all this other stuff.
I was an old school MOBA player, like when MOBAs first started.
Han was fun, but not fun.
I never played it.
It was.
I was
yeah.
never in
Han, like when it first came out, was the thing was with Han is just like a lot of people who love Dota 1 just went to Han because Han was Dota 1 HD.
Better.
Really. With
Better.
a couple Han heroes they wanted to put in there. But eventually they put a lot of Han heroes in there and some of them were kind of crazy and then they had their own ideas on the game itself and you know, they wanted to become their own kind of game. So it went down that kind of avenue. And people loved that avenue and they went down with it. Some of us went over to Dota 2.
Yeah, until Dota 2, and now all the pros play Dota 2. But okay, let's get back on track.
Yes.
We've barely talked about champions.
I
Here's
want to go back to the intro because you were tagging on it a bit.
Okay.
And I just want to also say how awesome it was. You know what I thought when I saw the intro?
What did
and
you
if
think?
you guys don't know, because the intro it had a lot of the zany lines and the quick like hits and intros of each of the players. I thought Real World. MTV's The Real World.
Interesting.
When it first came out, I saw like the zany like ride in, and I totally felt like we were about to hop into a Real World Dota 2 episode.
Is that
from
bad
MTV.
or is that good?
It was great. I felt
Okay,
I'm just
all right,
a
good.
big nostalgia nerd. I love throwbacks
jeez.
to my youth and to
Yeah.
I mean, I was one of the guys who I watched Real World when it first came out. That's when it was actually a decent show. It was just like, holy shit, all these strangers in a house. What the fuck are they gonna do? But it was nice. It was a good throwback. It was very different. The artistic writing elements. It wasn't just so much about Zane. And yeah, I would love to watch.
We can show this right
again.
now. By the way, I think that Real World versus Road Rules is what PUBG will ultimately become. Just in case anybody was wondering. Just in case anybody was wondering.
He just got super deep out of nowhere.
You know,
but Eric, yeah, let's pull up the intro.
we can't talk about it, but yes.
It's true.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we have some super secret shit that
Oh,
we literally
man.
can't tell you.
Oh, shit. We'll talk
It's
about it after
NDA
this
level
podcast.
like 10,000.
Wanda Sykes.
It's the
Blue hole. Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, we're going to show that. We're going to show it really quickly. Okay, because it's and Dakota take over, yeah.
It
Sick.
hits all the hard points. I could watch that intro 6 days a week for a Liquid TV show and be super happy and just
Sick.
be jamming along with it every time.
Do it, dude. Get us those views.
Yeah, I mean that's just when you have like a good opener. Like
Yeah.
I'm in at that point.
So this is where we were just talking about before we started the podcast, the Ausla thing. So initially, like, we had a song by Getter in there, and it was dope, and it was like super dirty, and we were like,
Wait,
"Yo,
which Getter song?
get back."
Bad.
I think it was Back, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think it was
love
Back.
Getter.
Yeah, so do I. And so initially, like, I don't know how the connection even got made. Like, we had reached out to Ausler, they reached out to us, and then it like went silent for a really long time. And then we were like, oh, like, let's use it for this Champions thing because it's like a huge piece. They won. It'll be super sick. And then like we used this Getter song and we hit up the dude from Ausla, and he was like, Getter's on tour, he's in India. Like, I can't reach him. Not sure if we can clear it for this, but like we'll try to get it for future things. And so we had to swap out the song real quick. Array was the song that we used. Always Wanted You featuring Kimbra.
Yeah,
which is super cool.
Indie cred.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But they were super helpful. They were super cool, super responsive to emails. They got us the instrumental version, which like doesn't exist anywhere. And so they still got it for us because we were like, oh, we want to do some sound design. We want to like remove the vocals from some
You guys
of the
didn't
parts.
get stems, did you?
No,
Oh,
which
geez.
would have been sick.
Oh, shit, I was like, shit, they say stems.
Don't trust me. Don't trust me around stems. Yeah, I would have been like, I'm gonna take this
All right,
snare.
guys,
I'm
make
gonna take
all these
this. Yeah.
drums.
Noob here. What's a stem? Tell me right now.
What
So
is a
People-
stem?
stems
Explain a
are
stem.
when you hear a song, like stems will be broken down into basically a few categories. It'll be drums, bass, synth, lead vocals, atmosphere stuff.
Yeah.
And so you just get the drum track by itself, the bass track by itself, the synth track by
so
itself.
Mario Paint, when I'm making the song,
Yes, yes.
you just cut out
Yes,
some
you
of
only
those
get
lines.
you only get the mushrooms.
flowers.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
Sick. Okay, cool. You guys got it now, right?
What
okay,
a great
cool.
reference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
that's,
right, cool.
that's exactly what it is.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, and he had this idea initially from the beginning. He's like, I just want to do a paint thing. And we're like, what kind of paint
Yeah,
thing? He's like, any kind of paint thing. Like,
I don't even know where it came from. I have rough ideas. So there was like, I don't even know. But
Bob Ross.
Hey,
On
hey,
Twitter.
Eric, can
And
you
I'm
pull
like,
up
we
I've
got
seen a lot of Bob
graphic?
Ross memes lately. Let's
Can
do
you
some
pull up
paint
the
shit.
graphic reference? Yeah. Just grab it whenever. Okay, yeah. So I grabbed this because, and this is what you're talking about with the paint. So for me, I thought this was super dope. All the graphics you guys did were really cool on this piece, really unified, really thought about it. And one of my questions was like, where's the inspiration? Where this came from?
So what was really funny is anyone that plays Dota currently could be like, I mean, he literally just ripped off the Dota UI, like the pick band. I didn't even know that was a thing until we were halfway through. That's like how long I haven't played Dota for. So I didn't even know that it was a thing, and it just happily happened to be on brand with Dota.
I didn't think you ripped it off. I think that you were being good.
It means
I
you're
don't know.
super in tune with it, man. That's
Yeah,
what
it just
I'm
looked like it matched.
It was one of those things where I was like, okay, all of our other series are like super clean, or majority of them are all like pretty clean. Like
Yeah, we don't do stuff
You
like
guys
this
use
normally.
small text, clean
small text,
lines,
clean.
like
but
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what free to play is, and that's where that came from. Like I borrowed from that because I was like, this
Sure.
is amazing. This is super minimal. This is
Great artists
super
know
clean. I
who
love
to
it.
steal from, guys.
And
that
then I
is
was
the
like,
key.
if I'm coming out,
Everything's a remix.
if we're doing something with Dota, we can't copy and paste
Gotta
what
be
free to play
different.
does.
Yeah.
Because instantly we're going to be compared to True Sight and free to play, regardless of what we do. And so the last thing that I want is for us to look like we're just trying to like oh, well, let's just copy and paste it, and then we'll ship a thing, and it'll be all good. So I was like, all right, what's something that like maybe I did in the past? So I used to do graphic design. After I went to film school, did graphic design, and then did esports. Is kind of like the
when I was
80s.
at you guys' office working with you guys, I was so surprised by how much you were jumping on creating graphics for social posts, creating all these things in Photoshop, and you were a little whiz kid. You were moving around hotkey.
Yeah,
all
he
over
does
the
all
place.
of it.
Yeah.
So for this stuff, I had a concept of where I wanted to go. I was like, okay, I want to do like messy, like paint strokes messy, like paint splatter, just because it's totally different than what the Dota-based narratives are. And that's kind of like how I got to where we are now. And one of the in-house designers at Liquid, Tiffany, she really helped us pump out a lot of this stuff because there was just so much that even though we have 4 people in-house, Photoshop skill levels vary on the one-up in-house, so I had to dip in a little bit to the TL graphic design.
So did she do the logo?
She did do the logo.
Yeah.
Logo's great. That's really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. It turned out well, and then we animated it for the thing, and like we did all the paint lines and stuff. But then this, like, over the course of time, it's like I'm assuming he doesn't know. I surely don't know what it's going to be at the very beginning, because it's like, let's do their name and their gamer tag. And it's like, well, maybe we should include a flag because they're all from different places. Well, maybe we should include their age because they're all different ages. Well, maybe we should include like what they are in the team. Maybe we should include their MMR. Maybe we should include a champion photo. And then it's like, okay, how do you incorporate that?
Thank you. You're bringing memories back. So here's the thing. I have some original ideas, and then I have a lot of ideas that I'm like, I love this about this film, and I want to include it. So everyone absolutely hated Suicide Squad because it wasn't very good.
But the text treatment
the thing that was sick was when they introed the characters.
It's like a series of trailers or music videos. Like it's just like,
and so
it's
for
trailer
me,
cut.
I was like, I want to do character intros similar to Suicide Squad. Now
Okay,
they didn't necessarily get all the way to that insane production value where you have all this information and it's tracked to everyone, and you know, like we spent half of
you guys fucked
half
up,
of our
whatever.
creative budget on this, right? But that's kind of where these little what we were calling player cards internally. That's where they came from. Is like Suicide Squad, where they intro Deadpool and Harley Quinn and all that.
I love
stuff.
that kind of stuff. Like I also dabble a lot in fighting games, like Marvel vs. Capcom, and I fancy like the character select screens and
I
the
love
player
Marvel vs.
profiles
Capcom.
and
That
I
game
love
is
that
so
kind of
fun.
stuff. Oh, I love
He's this guy's a pro Marvel vs. Capcom player.
It's
new
so
game.
good.
New game's all right. I
It's-
don't want to go into too much.
I haven't
to it.
played it.
I feel like it's so much. This is like a lot of what you guys do, where you take something that's very normal, which could just be a lower third, and nobody would give a shit, and you make it super fun and super mean something. And another thing you guys do this with, Eric, can we pull up the interview setup, please? So what I was immediately struck by, because I know from working with you guys that you care a lot, as you do a ton of talking head work, about your setup. And with this, it was like you pushed a little farther. First off, okay, my man Victor's eyes, his blue eyes against his blue background gave me a little tiny baby boy boner. All right?
Little baby,
dope Jesus
baby
I just want you
blue-eyed
to know
boner.
that, okay?
Yeah.
But what's really cool, and if we can go full screen on this, just because there's some detail that you can't see on this, Eric. So there's all these particles flowing around him. We're underwater, which is the TI theme as well as Liquid theme. It gives it an extra glimmer, extra shape. I'm pretty confident that this logo in the background is not on your wall. That's post as well. But there's so
Not
much.
post, actually.
This?
It's done practically, yeah. So
Explain.
all right, so when we did some stuff for Blizzard for Overwatch a long time ago.
Yes.
And every time I saw the
Featured in client.
yes, actually.
what you did.
Which is
Shout
pretty
out
sick.
Dix Nation.
Yeah. So every time I saw a developer update, I was like, they have a mural in their office that just looks sick that they always do it in front
murals,
of.
right?
Yeah.
Multiple murals.
They have
Yeah.
multiple
But
murals
they
that they
just
do these
move
interviews in
around.
front of.
Blizz
And
office is
I
fucking
get
cool.
there,
But they don't.
and I get there, and they have a projector on the ceiling with a bunch of flags that are projecting onto a wall that they've blurred to give it depth of field. And I'm like, these guys, like, holy shit.
That's
so
what
ever
you
since,
did here.
dude, ever since I went there, we have a projector in our office that's been sitting there because our office right now used to be the old scrim area.
Yeah.
So they used to use it to do like replays and stuff, right?
Actually, so this is before Ian's time. We had a projector in there just because we wanted a projector in the studio when we first built the one-up area. So we had a projector installed originally.
Like watch shit and like go
Yeah,
over
to
it.
watch stuff and to go over stuff. And, you know, I had always liked, like, the first video project that I'd ever done was in high school. And it was, like, some dude, like, emo to some song like standing there like looking sad with the projector of like images of him.
Oh
looking
yeah.
sad.
And then he did the HTC thing with the projector.
Yeah, and so we had used it a little bit. And then so after Ian, like, and then it went into retirement because the LCS team didn't really use it at all to do reviews. Like they would every now and then, but gamers just don't know how to use technology. So it stopped working one day and they were like, that's it doesn't work anymore.
I don't know.
It's a nice projector too. Like
Someone else will do it.
So yeah, so I did the Liquid logo. I brought it into After Effects, ran it through Element 3D, gave it some depth, did some particles, put some water texture over it, blurred it, put it on the projector, blurred it again, and that's all practical.
That's
yeah.
all practical?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that is
We just
so
gave away
cool,
all
Ian.
of our
We're
secrets,
stealing
but
that. Yeah, we're stealing
I
it.
mean, I already stole it. It's gone. It's
yeah,
mine
no,
now.
it's cool.
We
And
own it. It's going to be on there our next
God,
podcast.
do you remember
right
when
on
we
that
came
wall.
up with this idea? That was a really good idea.
it's a great idea. I remember when we stole that idea from you, actually, to put in Champions. Yeah, I appreciate the idea.
I'm suing you.
We got it on record.
Dude,
But yeah, it's all
this-
done
That's what
practically.
I'm talking about.
And
It's
then
like
nice lighting.
These extra efforts are what
Yeah.
people like me get really excited about, and I imagine is what you get really excited about making because you're doing something that could be whatever, and you're really making it special.
Yeah, one thing that we always get shit for is not to like pat ourselves on the back, but people will be like, "Yo, Champions is so good," and Damien and I are both like, "It could have been so much better." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And we're like, "Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that like we could have done better." Of
course.
They're like, "You need to give yourselves more credit." We're like, "It's not about credit. It's like we as artists, if we had 2 more days."
Because
Or
you
if
know
we had,
all the
like-
things you wanted to do, all the
Yeah.
things you thought you were going to do,
Yep.
and
And it's all
everything you
de-
had to cut.
And it's all dependent on schedule and stuff. Like, cause if we were just a film crew that had complete, unhindered, unlimited access to Team Liquid Dota, imagine how crazy this video would be. But we also have to respect their practice schedule, what they do or don't want to do. Like, if somebody's tilted after a game, they don't want to do an interview. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it that's like which is fine, and which is every team. And if I'm a professional athlete and I run a race and I get shit on, and some kid comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, can we get an interview?" Like, no, you cannot get an interview, which I get. I totally get. But yeah, so it's like we as artists always want that just unrestricted, like, give us everything.
Everything.
Which we
Let
know
me
we're never
live
going to
with you.
get. So
Let me film from your toilet.
Tears.
Yeah.
Cry for me, boy. That's what you want.
Yeah.
yeah.
We've gotten plenty of that.
Well, like, okay, so in that
Are we
vein,
transitioning to League?
you guys had
Sorry.
so the first time we meet GH in your video, it is what I think is quite frankly one of the things that I'm most jealous about this video, because it's a very open, frank, and like kind of difficult topic where he's talking about Lebanon, he's talking about the dangers of it, and he's talking to Nazgul again, and it feels like, which is so rare in these videos, really you're a fly on the wall. That scene, it really feels like the camera's not there. We get this real peek at them talking about real shit that's happening in their life. Who filmed that, by the way? You did?
I was
Okay.
doing B-roll of the city that day.
Amazing. Talk to me about that experience. Talk to me about what it's like in general. Just
Being a
like
peeper, yeah.
being that guy, and I mentioned it before, it being a peeping Tom, but like a human and a camera in this scenario, and what it's like to navigate between those spaces. And how you felt when you got that. Because I mean, I don't know if you felt the same way, but I was like, that's fucking gold. You know, that's such gold. You're so
Yeah.
lucky to have gotten that.
So I'll rewind a little bit. So when we signed GH, Victor was like, "Yeah, so we're signing." I've been I started doing content in the other esports, but I had always wanted like a really good Dota team to do content about. And so after the team didn't do very well the previous year, where it was like Fada and who else was on the team?
TI6 Liquid.
TI6 Liquid. God,
It
why you
is
come here?
Fata, Kuro,
Jerix?
Jerax,
Yeah,
okay,
Jarex.
okay.
and then the rest
so,
of the boys.
So those
I get it,
guys, those guys.
I know Dota.
Very good.
We didn't do very well at TI, and I was like, man, this is rough. And so we're like in the process of rebuilding the roster, and like every day I'd just be like, Victor, where are we at with the roster? And like he would just he'd be like, oh, we're doing this or that, and like he would like randomly message me at what was like 6 a.m. my time, and would be like, hey, I have some news for you. And so it was like this thing back and forth, and he's like, so we signed this player GH.
And you
I was
probably
like,
didn't, you
who?
didn't hear him, yeah.
I was like, who's GH?
Okay.
Who? Yeah,
I was like,
I was everyone,
is
really.
Is this Dendy's like fake name, like his new gamer tag? And he's like, yeah, we signed this player GH. And I was like, okay. He's like, he's from Lebanon. He has a really interesting story. And I was like, okay, cool. he lives in Lebanon. How are we gonna? And then it was always this thing where he's like, I really want to do something about GH. Like, I really want you guys to go out there and shoot. And then the schedules just never lined up for us to ever do any.
Tell me
to
there's
do
some hidden
anything.
footage. You guys in Lebanon?
No,
Jesus.
No,
not yet.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Possibly.
And so it was like this, I guess, like almost a year back and forth of Victor being like, GH is sick, like he's amazing. And so our first day there is the day that we do all the interviews that are in this besides the webcam ones. So first time meeting GH, and I had like super high expectations. Like I remember talking to Victor, I was like, Victor, GH better be sick, dude. You've been hyping him up for like a year. And we meet him, and like the first thing that he says, like what does he say?
He puts on his microphone and he's like, hello, check, hello. Ask me what my favorite unicorn color is. It's dark pink. Every time. Every time we did an interview, he would say that to check his mic. Yeah, that was like his like testing the audio like bit. And I was like, this dude's awesome.
He really is a rookie, dude. He's having fun.
We might have one clip of it, so we'll try to find it. But I think it all happened before we hit record every time.
We do have one. It was the sit-down interview after.
Okay. We'll have to put that out on social.
Yeah,
something.
after VP.
But
that's a
yeah, it's really
and
fun.
so like
that's a good sound.
You know,
bite.
we interviewed the kid, and like afterwards, like I talked to him and I got to know him a little bit. And that was our day one. So day two, they went to go shoot B-roll footage of the city. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go with Victor and see if I could like grab anything. Because we didn't really get any behind the scenes sort of stuff with them. Because it was just like, they're practicing interviews. Okay, goodbye, we're practicing again. Because, I mean, they want to win TI, right?
Yeah.
And so I was just hanging out with Victor. I legit probably sat down and did nothing more than I shot anything because they were in the middle of scrimming. And so,
which is actually an important part that people don't recognize, is that you have to become part of the scenery, and
Oh,
in order to
100%.
do so, you just have to.
You
sit
have
there.
to be part of the team. Like
Yeah.
even if you're like, hey, do you guys need water or anything?
Yeah.
Like you have to be a dude bro. You can't just be a camera
bro.
dude bro.
Yeah, man.
Because when you're a camera dude bro, they don't want to talk to you.
Fuck
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And
they don't
so
and having
the,
a long lens helps.
the rest
as
of
well.
the team went out to like to get I don't know, like snacks and water and use the restroom or whatnot. And so Victor and GH are just sitting there talking. And then I was like, oh, this is what Victor was talking about, like how amazing GH is. So they're talking back and forth, and I'm like shooting this mouse over here and this Razer keyboard and mouse. Shout out to Razer. And then I was like,
What happens if I turn over this way?
Dude, I had imagined when
And I
you're
turned
doing
back
this
and
that you
then
move
shoot
my
some,
camera over.
and then I'm like,
at
oh,
it.
gotta go capture this mouse. Shot on Victor. Okay, cool. Gotta go back over here, get my wide shot.
Okay.
And so that's like, I don't know, like 10 minutes of talking about not just that topic. That
Whatever.
I was grabbing all my different angles and inserts on them. And the goal was to make it look like there were 2 to 3 cameras on
Which it
the
does.
conversation.
Which it does.
hard
You
to
ju-
do.
Yeah, it's very hard to do.
Hard to do in the
It's
back end.
Very difficult to get away also without, like, because if they catch you, because I imagine this, my imagining of you in the scenario was doing what I do a lot, where I keep the camera in my lap, and then I just like, I hang out with players and I just hit record, and then I swivel my chair.
And Dan has
Oh,
done
yeah,
And I
yeah.
just swivel my chair over this.
recently. He got to hang out with the old Digital Chaos squad, and during their time,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sit in with them. So.
Yeah, I did a boot camp, unreleased boot camp video of Digital Chaos where they boot camped at our house and we shot them as they qualified for Kiev? It was Kiev, the Kiev major.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, and so I lived with them in their boot camp house for a week, which is, it's weird. But yeah, it's such to get somebody where they aren't distracted, they aren't thinking about the camera, and they're just talking to somebody else. That's like, it's really hard to do. It's really, I'm very jealous of that. That whole sequence is one of my favorite in this as the most true content. Like this is really getting insight.
Yeah, for me, the thing that I was super lucky with when I first started shooting documentary stuff is Joka Steve at the time, who's currently the CSGO manager, was the league manager. And so Joka, like, I
Joka,
spent a
shout
lot
out
of,
to Joka.
shout out
Steve is
to
a great
Joka.
guy, dude.
And I spent a lot of
Shout out
time with
Joka
him,
for
so
sure.
he knew, like, like what he enjoyed watching in content and like that sort of thing. So he became the vehicle for a lot of the success in that series, where he'd pop in, he'd be like, yo, I'm going to go take Phoenix out to 7-Eleven. You want to come with me? It's raining. And I'd be like, yes. Like, yeah, I want to come
Yeah,
with
what
you.
an asset, dude.
And like he would just like, clown around and they'd start doing all this fun shit, which happened normally, right? But he would even more be like, hey, like make sure to get this, like this is good. And so having someone that drives that vehicle is extremely important for me, at
That's
least.
not behind the camera.
Right, that's not behind the camera. And so Victor
Yeah.
was kind of that vehicle there, where he unknowingly he was like asking all the stuff that he had prepped me to get. Maybe he did know, right? But
He's a
he was
smart
like
guy, dude,
talking
yeah.
about all the stuff that he had thought was really interesting about GH.
So for those of us who don't know who Victor is who is he to like the team, or is he like a president, coach, manager,
Co-CEO.
Co-CEO and founder.
And founder
Initial
of Team
founder.
Liquid.
Yeah.
He's great friends with Ken Chen.
Okay.
He's a really nice guy. Every time that I've talked with him, worked with him, he's been incredible. He really cares about his players. He really gives a fuck. Like, it's crazy. Which is, okay, there's a couple interesting things about this. Was that, so normally you guys, it's like all Steve with you guys because he is close to you, he is around you. So it's such an interesting departure from that, where we're talking to Victor. And it's like league content, league community knows Steve. Steve is the other CEO, co-CEO of Team Liquid, and he's got memes. You know, Steve
He's
paid
got
for it.
memes.
Steve
Yeah.
paid for it, right? You know, that's like the Steve meme. But you guys got to work with Victor on this, which was really cool, and I was really happy to see him in this.
I mean, I've been telling Victor for the longest time, like, dude, you need to get in front of the camera. Like, old school people definitely know who you are because you were
100%.
more like, you know, the guy back then, and now you're still the guy, but you need to like be on camera more. Like, I keep telling him, like, you need to tweet more, and so
We were flaming him about it the whole time.
like,
He's just hiding in Utrecht,
yeah.
man. He's just hanging
over
out.
the
it's
last
funny-
couple
yeah.
of weeks, like after TI, when we were like, Victor, you need to tweet more, he'll like send me tweets. He'll be like, is this good?
Yeah. But he'll tweet like, I'm hungry, and it'll get like 45 retweets and like 60 comments. You're like, dude, Victor, you need to be utilizing this much more.
Oh my god.
But yeah, every time he tweets now, I'll comment on it and be like, a Victor tweet, hell yeah, like thumbs up emoji.
So with GH, you had a great little snippet from our boy Blitz, Will, who used to be the coach of Team Liquid, talking about how he was one of those people who was really pushing when GH was unknown, being like, this guy's the shit. And it was so cool watching the video because what people maybe don't recognize right away from this is that there is footage. You start these episodes. You start at TI6, and you go through. And we see footage from all over where it looks there's like projects that you guys have done, and you're finally able to activate all those.
Yeah, maybe something that you shot.
Yeah, wait,
of.
there is
There's
a little
some-
bit.
I saw a Dan credit.
Yeah,
on
there's
there.
a Dan credit
I'll
in
be
there.
honest.
Dan
Wait,
credit.
Eric, can we pull up the credits there? There might be somebody in the credits. Oh, wait a minute.
Who's that young man?
Additional
Who's that young man right there?
cinematography.
Way down at the
Michael
bottom.
Artris, Bart Orbeck, and Daniel Nigerian. Guys, that's me. Just so
That
you know,
is
I'm
you.
legit.
A lot of awesome stuff from the previous year that I know we're not talking about it yet, but in True Sight they did not have access to.
No, they didn't have
so
any
you
of
guys
that, yeah, but
were
it-
able to kind of start things off with that cool backstory of where they came from with TI6 to where
I thought
they're
that was
now.
so cool and
Yeah, very
something
cool.
that was probably extra fucking lot of work. You could have just made it about TI, but you bring in all this stuff about the year before, and that was so cool. And honestly, my footage, I'm embarrassed of it in this because it looks like shit compared to what you guys shot at TI. It's like you guys' shit is so crispy and like tight and clean, and mine's like,
I love my favorite comment is the real story here is a body transformation.
Yeah.
with
Who's that
Blitz.
guy?
Shout out
Yeah,
Blitz. Shout out Blitz for losing a lot
Okay,
of weight,
look
dude.
at
That's not
this is
Blitz.
crazy.
That's old
It's
Blotz right
insane.
there. We got new Blitz now. But
look at
man.
Blitz. Or here's the before. Look at Will. I mean, he looks great in the suit. You can't hurt the guy. He's got great hair. He's got great skin. Complexion's on point.
I mean, you can't have gray hair next to
Suit is
Jarek, so,
legit.
but yeah.
Well,
That is
that's
true.
A dream,
He's got that
that's a
hair.
dream boy. God, I love that man. And then let's get the modern, up to date, new.
Oh, it's over there.
Whoa!
Damn, what's up,
holy
Blitz?
Yeah,
Lord,
there he
dear
is.
God.
Yeah.
Look at how good that guy looks. Is that crazy?
That's
Still
my-
great hair, still great
That's
skin.
my Fitspo.
Were you guys? Yeah. Were you shocked to see him? I mean, he looks so fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen him cast a couple things, so I was like,
Oh,
damn,
so you knew.
the boy dropped some weight.
He dropped some weight.
Yeah.
That was the first time I'd met him, and I didn't know who he was.
You'd only seen footage.
But he was like just joking around about it. He was like, that's what you get when you run 3 miles a day and only eat chicken.
That's
like,
true.
I'm like, well, okay, yeah.
He works
That's a
really
good way
hard
to
for
do
his
it.
body. And then you guys filmed with one other guy from our community who we know very dear,
Ooh.
very close to
Who
us.
could it be?
Wait, I'm
There's a
trying to
young
think
man. You don't know who I'm talking about?
Oh, our other big CP we have in house.
Our
of
other
course.
big creative
There he is.
producer. Look
That's
at
the
that
best.
face. Look at that.
Great,
What a nice
great
duck,
freeze frame.
duck face. Frozen duck face shot of Ken right now, if you can't see.
You don't think I did that on purpose? What up, Ken? Ken Shen, a.k.a. Hotbid, former Team Liquid, great guy. How was it like to work with those guys? With you, because what you did really great, I thought, it was pull in some of these guys from the Dota community, not just Team Liquid people, to give their commentary. What was that like?
I think that's like part of what's really important from creating content from a team side is that if everyone that is in front of a camera is Team Liquid or Team Liquid staff or sponsor or something, it's like where's like the reality in it? Like you're just building your own narrative about whatever. Like it's just Team Liquid propaganda. And so for me, which kind of an exercise from Breaking Point, is like we had to bring in someone else. It wasn't just internal to give their opinions. And so for Breaking Point, it was Thorin who gave his opinion on like Dardoch and the team and all that infrastructure. And then, you know, you talk about what it is like on the inside. And then so for us, it was a Victor suggestion. He's like, oh, you should talk to Hotbid. Like he was like really about it. He was like, yeah, you should talk to Hotbid.
He touched him like that too. Wow.
Want me to message him for you?
Hey.
And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, geez, I'll get a Hotbid interview. Like, yeah.
No, but Ken is a very interesting guy, very strange little man.
Special little troll flower
It
we
was
got
super
here.
cool to see him in that, I thought.
I wish we could see our setup for this interview.
Oh, was it? It was just a camera and
Dude,
a tripod?
No, it was
Was it near the beer garden or whatever?
I have no idea.
No, this is where the players enter.
yeah,
Up-
it's
up-
the red
it's the
carpet.
upstairs
the red carpet.
It's next to the red carpet.
Oh,
but
I
we,
know you are. Okay.
it's so funny. We're like, all right, let's do it outside, whatever. All of our stuff was down in like the press area inside, and we only had a very short window to get these interviews. So we had the A7S on like, there's like these giant concrete balls that are there.
Yeah.
And if that giant concrete ball wasn't there, we wouldn't have been able to do this interview because we had the A7S on this like travel tripod that's supposed to be used for an iPhone.
Like a Gorilla
with the
Pod?
A7S,
No.
not even the Gorilla Pod, like a
that's too much.
plastic, like
That's too much.
like not safe tripod for an A7S to be teetered on top of this concrete ball that took us like 5 minutes to finally find like the gravitational position of this
Oh my
shit
God.
tripod to last on. And then I had the FS7 and then Damien was interviewing on the other side. And it was like, it really worked out for
Yeah,
those
because
interviews.
you had another shot too in this. There's the 2-camera setup.
Yeah, and it was nice because like there was an overhang that like created this nice shadow, but then like in Blitz's interview, the first half is great, but then the second half there's like a hot spot on his face because the sun like just came over the thing. But yeah, it was it's interesting to be able to like run and gun because Damien and I did all the shooting, like just him and I, 3 cameras, the 2 of us.
Oh Lord.
And yeah, it was nuts, dude. We were running, I think like we clocked some miles on those days, like just running around the stadium and
Dude.
getting all the stuff.
Did
and
you
I was
even
like,
get time to like watch any of
It's
the
easy.
games on those days?
Yeah.
You just busting ass.
yeah, we
We
definitely
did.
did, but it sucked because we were in the press areas in the front row. So the entire
we
time our
just, like-
necks were like, we're trying to watch
fucking the
this
worst.
screen.
It's the
and every
worst.
15 minutes, I was like, good God.
I
this is
remember there was a
awful.
point where I was just like, nope, and I just pulled it up
Yeah,
on Twitch.
we
and I
pulled
was
up the
like,
stream. We were like, I can't look at
It's
this.
the worst, dude. No, the press area is the absolute worst area to watch the games, period. I always would just shift over on the other side.
and it's
just,
like maybe you
terrible.
want to go to the booth, but then if you want to shoot the guys as they walk out, it's like you got to like run down
Yeah.
from all the way in
Yeah.
the team booth. Like,
So at least
and
if you're in
it's
the
just
press
back and
area, you
forth.
can walk over easily and go to the entrance and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the one thing that we did learn, I think, from this year is we need to bring like a pretty crazy lens. Like we need like a 400 plus kind of lens to get some of
I've
these
shot
shots.
with a 2 to 400.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need like a 400 to X number that's like pretty large.
Now,
It's
these
like
are just
like, has
lenses
its
that
own-
zoom further, right?
super
Yeah.
telescopic.
You guys are throwing out 400
lenses.
SLI
So-
DMR
yeah.
things here. I'm just trying to translate for everyone at
Yeah.
home. You guys are looking for like a
I want a lens
really
that has its
scope
own
it.
tripod.
okay,
big
okay,
dick.
whoa,
Like
okay.
double tripod. Like
dick
we need
cam
some.
tripod.
I want to see your pores from where we are.
like NBA games. You know, you see those guys on the
Yeah.
ground. They got those like bazooka.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay.
We need one of those.
Yeah.
a lot of money, I imagine.
Not to rent for
Not
the
to
weekend.
Not to
Yeah.
rent. God,
Because we have no
man,
use
you
for
gotta
that other
rent.
than like TI, right? Or other than whatever tournament. If,
That's it.
You guys
the
should
league team
clock
makes it to-
your steps at these things.
we did.
You
Yeah,
do?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the last time I worked,
wonder if I can even bring it up.
I
I don't
really
think I
worked
can.
the TI where I was trying to get full coverage. TI
Yeah.
for day 1, my record 28,000 steps in a day. That is my record right now.
When was TI?
TI was
What, this past one?
August
No, it wasn't.
8th.
August. Was it August 8th?
Was TI?
I
Weekend
don't
of
know, you have a
August 8th.
computer in front of you, and I'll tab that TI date right
Let
there.
me look.
sir.
Hold
I
on.
don't fucking know.
Early September.
All right.
Oh, okay,
as,
yeah.
As you look, I'm going to talk about our preparation into going into TI. 'cause
This is what
I
I'm-
think this is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I
we
found
haven't,
it. You're
we
right.
haven't
So-
talked about this, and this is what I really wanted to have you here
So here's
for.
the thing: a lot of people that try to shoot esports stocks, and maybe we're going about it the absolute wrong way, and there's a better way. Like they want to have a plan. Like, what's the story going in? Where how are we going to do this?
Nope.
What characters are we following? Are we doing something about this person's background when they were young? The pinball machine traumatized them, so now they only play PC games. Like, what is it, right?
Yeah.
And so for us, and for me at least, like since I've started, I don't really go in with a plan. I just like shoot what happens. and then I'll develop it along the way. Like, yes, of course, I'll have some things like I would love to make this GH focus or Kuro focus. And so maybe I'll grab a couple more shots with him or try to, capture some more just random interactions based around that. But for me, I just like go in.
Holy guacamole, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. That
We
was a
are
quick,
back.
Quick little fun break. I had a pee, so I kicked the cord out of the wall. Just
That's
to make
not
sure
what
we
happened,
go.
Dan. Don't try to take
Classic
the blame
Dan.
on this
Classic
one.
Dan. Here's what we were talking about, okay?
All right, no preparation.
No prep. Going
Yeah.
in
Heading
and
into
how
TI.
you, which I think is a big part of any documentary thing, is like your perspective and what you're trying to do. The story you're trying to tell versus the story that happens. And your angle is you just try to watch.
Yeah. So I just tried to watch. I had concepts like we talked about earlier. Victor kept pushing GH, and I was like, all right, let's focus on GH. I think it's a really interesting story. His first TI, rookie, brand new to the scene, right, for the previous year. That's
Coddle
my angle.
God.
Kuro, been there forever. Okay, so he's obviously the other guy that you're going to follow. And I had spent the last year being around Matoma Man. And I remembered that there was a loser interview that I had with him that was pretty interesting, but I never used for anything.
Unbelievable quote from that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was the only thing that I had. And so part of our justification
get
for
what
going
you
and covering
deserve.
it,
Yeah.
minus the whole, like, obviously we're Team Liquid, we're going to go to TI, we staffed up, like, normally probably a person over. We were originally going to send 4, but due to, like, rooms and whatnot and just travel, we were like, okay, let's just bring 3 solid. And so it was Ian, myself, and another guy, Logan, who edits with Ian.
The young god. Shout out Logan Dodson.
Shout out Logan.
Snipe
Dude,
Alley.
Logan.
I've been following that guy.
Yeah, dude. Logan's a fucking G. I love that
Sorry.
kid. He is awesome.
Yeah.
And so the concept
I love
going
you,
in
Logan.
was like, we're just going to do a bunch of social media content. Like, that's our thing. We're not going to really expect to get much time with the players
You
because
changed
they're
the
focused
Instagram
with TI.
games. I'm sorry to interrupt. You changed the Instagram story game. That was fucking
Dude,
incredible.
we went in with this plan that we were like, we're going to do stories every day. We're going to do top plays from each day. We're going to like do all this crazy Instagram stuff. And I think that we've dug ourselves a hole because now at every event, it's like, yo, how
Yeah, you
about that
gotta do that.
Instagram
Do
stuff?
it. Yeah.
And we're
literally.
like, that takes a lot of work. And they're like, I don't care. Do the Instagram
Give me the
stuff.
Instagram.
It was
Give
really good. It was really, really good.
But it
Yeah.
developed out of us initially being frustrated with a weird aspect ratio.
vertical.
And we were like, screw it, we're going to do it. Like, and we just started experimenting with the format and like breaking it apart in like lines. And it's like, okay, like let's use the rule of thirds. Like we can put a title here and a gameplay here and a quote down here at the bottom and like have the panel switch and like do all this fun stuff. So it was a challenge for us to do it. And I think a lot of the stuff that actually happens, like the happy accidents that seem to happen with pretty much everything, is us just experimenting with stuff and trying something that's completely out of our comfort zone. And then it ends up being like a cool thing. And then you're like, oh, okay, like let's try to figure out what happened to make this thing. And let's keep
and
capitalizing
then that's
on
the
it.
formula that you use.
Part of
Yeah.
what I think is super important for our creative process, or for sure mine, is I just see things that I like in areas that are not esports, and then I just try to integrate it. So the Instagram stories thing was really from when Snapchat started, rest in peace, when Snapchat started doing...
I like
What up, Fish
Snapchat.
Nation? No, it's dead. When Snapchat started doing their
It's dead.
their like stories thing where
Yeah.
it'd be like BuzzFeed or whatever,
Yeah.
like insert Kim Kardashian following magazine.
Have you seen her
here
ass?
Would
Look
just,
at it.
Would be
Boom,
like
boom,
stories, and it'd have like little anime like and then like a thing with some beat, and I'd be like, this is cool. Like there could be more done here. Like this is interesting. Do people really watch in this aspect ratio? Because for me, I'm like, I would just rotate my phone. Like, why would I ever subject myself to this? And then when Instagram came out with it, and I started seeing like a lot of sneaker blogs and like pop culture related channels doing stuff that was really interesting. Like, oh, new Wonder Woman, it'd be like footage of it with like a write-up or like part of an article, and it'd be like swipe up to see more. I was like, oh, we should probably try this. And that's when it started. We started with Evo, where we
Yeah.
really tried. And it was like a pretty simplified version where we just tried to take high quality images, not cell phone images, from like a real camera with a real lens. We'd throw it over into our phones, do a quick edit on it, and then we'd upload with some text that was like generated inside of Instagram. Or if we had time, we'd like maybe try something more custom. And like it kind of just started with that. And then at TI, we were like, all right, let's go next level. We already have the gameplay pulled. We already have a theme that we're going with because we started stuff covering day to day in the group stages. So we already have graphics. Let's just make them out for the entire duration of TI. And so we had everything set to go. And it wasn't necessarily plug and play where it's like end of day, here's 12 minutes.
Yeah, no.
But it was plug and play to where we at least knew what we were doing and we knew how much time it was going to take to do.
Yeah, it was a full day of filming and then get back to the hotel, and then it was editing until like 1 or 2 in the morning. And then
Yeah, you guys had all the stuff that you were editing normally that you had to basically deliverables for work, you know, the Instagram, everything else, and then you're editing your vlogs on top of that.
Yeah.
Which is like basically fun, but at some point you gotta just be like, fuck, I'm tired, I want to sleep.
Yeah, it was one of those things where Logan was primarily doing all the gameplay stuff, the Instagram stuff, and for moral support, just like wanting to stay awake and like, all right, let's do this. I would also be editing the vlogs, so like we would both be editing, and then Damien was like bouncing back and forth and giving us feedback on both,
and then chatting with Victor.
And yeah, I just I never the vlogs. We did them the first day, and then one person commented on it, and we were like, all right, let's do another one. So we did another one. And like all these people were like, yo, you better be doing a vlog every day. And we were like, oh no, now we have to do this the whole rest of the time.
Sponsors started hitting up like Mike from One Up in Liquid, and we're like,
yeah, Mike was
this
texting
format's
us.
amazing.
What?
Like, let's figure some
nice,
stuff
guys.
out later.
You know, you make Dixnay happy, you make the whole world happy. That's the truth about that, okay?
Yeah, it's true. Shout out Thix Nation.
Yeah, of course, shout out Thix Nation. My man Mike, what's up? Yeah, I loved those. I may have been featured in one as well, which might make my affinity for
Your
them
cutaway
happy.
was pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as good as yours, dude.
Yeah,
when you're
that's a
shaking.
GIF now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I GIFed it, and I use it on Twitter quite often, actually.
Yeah.
Is there anything weird about how, and I know it's just like, because like that's what everyone's looking at, like Instagram stories and feeds and watching it in vertical, but as a creator, is there any sort of feeling at all when you're putting in so much like post-production and setup and then you just send it off into a little Instagram vertical feed? It's any part of you die on the inside, or do you think it's something you're coming to expect when you have to make that stuff?
Originally, it did.
It did.
Originally, I was like,
I agree.
Who cares about Instagram? But then I saw like it would be a photo, a horrible photo or a great photo of any of our Dota team, and it would just be like, Miracle's amazing. Oh my god, I love Miracle. Oh my god, team, look, it's amazing. And I was like, oh, like our Instagram audience is like really jamming.
And when something gets like 30,000+ engagement views, and it's 15 seconds long max, you're
that
like,
part
okay,
doesn't die anymore. It's
I mean, it's
rejuvenated.
like it turns into a like we should be capitalizing on this with like higher quality stuff than we currently have.
Yeah.
And so in that aspect, it's pretty cool. But it's like when you're shooting everything 16:9, and then you have to like crop it vertical, and people move through frame, and you have to like manually keyframe people to stay in the center of this awful vertical block.
Oh, man.
Technically, it's annoying. It's really annoying.
Yeah, you're definitely trying harder than I would if I was doing that.
You have to, dude.
Well,
There's no point.
I know you do. You have to do it right. Or
Yeah,
what's
there's no
fuck's
point in doing something like that, and then I don't know. I think we do it backwards, where it's like we should probably start off a little bit crappier, and then go like, "There's room to improve." But we throw everything we have at it, and then it's like, "Well, how can we do it better?" And it's like, "Oh my god, we put so much time and energy into making it what it was. Now we have to do it better than we did before." So yeah, it's fun. It's cool. I'm not dead on the inside anymore. I was originally though, for sure, 100%.
So when you go to an event and not plan, and you're shooting and you're doing all this stuff, and then suddenly your team is on the brink of winning the international, which is basically the dream. If you're filming an event, you want your team to win, because it fucking sucks to film them losing. So how does your plan pivot when suddenly you're in the grand finals? Are you paying more attention? Is it suddenly become stressful? Like, oh shit, everything we shot, I wish it was better. Everything I want to shoot, let's squeeze it in. What happens to you? Tell me not just what happens to you in general, but what happened at TI?
I was editing during the grand finals. I was editing with the intention that like we go live with this video as soon as they win, because they're probably going to win. So the entirety of the grand finals, we had a camera on a tripod that was just shooting a wide. And then we had the A7S that like was turned face backwards to shoot the crowd.
Yeah.
He was running around shooting with the FS7, and I was sitting there editing the loser bracket run ultimate like win thing through TI. And we ended up going live with it, I think like 2 hours after we won.
Oh my god!
Because like
You guys
as soon
are
as it got to
fucking
game
crazy.
3, I was like, oh shit.
Oh,
and I
shit,
ran
we're
over to
gonna
the
do
other
it.
side where the Aegis was. And I was like, fuck, this is probably going to happen. I had the A7S on a gimbal. I was shooting with my cell phone with the other hand. and like just trying to get everything that was happening. And he was shooting with the 70-200 from across the way to get like the front angle. And then we had to like pack up our stuff super fucking fast, run outside, like try to get them walking down the red carpet. They got in the bus and took off. Had to pack up all of our stuff. Had to get an Uber from the venue, which was like impossible that day. Go back to the hotel, edit the rest of it, finish the edit. So it was like, it was just crazy. It was all craziness. But we were preemptively like, oh shit, I think we're gonna win. Like after the first game, we were like, oh god, like we need to prepare for this shit. And it was super cool because, I mean, not to flame Liquid or anything, but I'm not used to teams winning things.
Yeah.
So it was like really nice to be like, holy shit.
Well,
like
it's hard to win anything. You're one of 16 of the best teams in the world.
Yeah, no, for real. And it's
crazy.
It was crazy. It was super cool. And Logan, it was his first event ever for Team Liquid.
Nice.
And we're like, your first event ever is TI? Like, and they
He's
win
the
the whole
lucky charm.
thing? Yeah. Logan might be the lucky charm.
It's actually so hilarious. We walk into the team suite, right? And he's looking out and he's like, wow, this is a different production value than Halo. Because he's a Halo
obsessed
guy.
with Halo.
Yeah, he's a Halo dude, right?
he's
He's like
obsessed.
Snipe Thor 48 or some shit. you know?
Snipetality, dude.
Yeah, Snipetality. I wasn't even kidding, dude. Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah.
What a name.
Snipetality. Yeah, dude,
That's been
it's
the only running joke since he started at 1UP.
It's Snipetality.
Yeah,
Is
we'll
that
be like,
Halo?
hey, dude, do this. We know it's not Halo, but like, do it anyway.
It's all right.
Put your heart and soul into
Yeah,
it.
but that's crazy. I mean, in
I
such
gotta ask
a
though, was there a plan B, grand finals? They don't win. What would have popped out from you guys if that was
I think
the case?
everything but the series might have come out. We might have done something small about like expectations for next year or something.
It wouldn't have been called Champions.
No,
It may have been something
someone
else.
asked me that on Reddit.
Yeah.
They were like, "So
Yeah,
what would
yeah.
you call it if it wasn't named Champions?" I don't know. It would Liquid Dota TI 7 run.
second
Better
place.
luck next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
Well, so that
Almost
that-
would have been good.
That last day was extremely interesting to be a Team Liquid fan if you're a fan of all the games that they're involved in. Because so you have one end of the spectrum where the
yeah.
Dota 2 team is competing to be world champions. Their game's world event, right? They've made it to top 3, right? At least. If they lose, they're at least 3rd. And then you have the LCS team who is playing to not get kicked out of the LCS. And so we're like obviously rooting for our team to make it out and to not have any problems. And so like I'm watching League of Legends in the front row of TI, like fingers crossed that everything goes good in our match that day. We like lose the first, I think it was the first 2 games. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to get kicked out of LCS and we're going to win TI.
yeah.
What the hell? But we end up winning our games. We reverse sweep, which is not normal for our league team. They usually get reverse sweeped. So that was amazing, a record for that. And then you have the Dota team, which makes it to finals. And so the game before finals was like unreal for me because I was like, my whole goal in esports has been to shoot a team, win TI. And we're like, on the last day, I was like, this is the farthest that I've come towards my goal. This is incredible. And there was like definitely, I was like a little emotional when we won that series heading into the final one. And I was like, oh my God, like everything is amazing. And I didn't even like accept the fact that we had won until after TI was over. It was like I was shooting the guys on the red carpet and I was like, holy shit, they won.
I mean, the players, and especially when you watch True Sight, were feeling the same way right there with you. They're like, what just happened? Did we just win? Like, it felt like it must have been just a surreal walk of all of you just going, what's going on right now, Liquid? We're good, I guess. And then they go on the bus and just leave. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all nuts, and I mean, you're so fucking lucky, dude. What an experience to have that. Yeah, I remember reading an article after TI that was like, it was like a $36 million swing for Team Liquid as an organization because you guys stayed in league. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sorry. LCS, and then you guys won TI. You touched on it really quickly, and we should move forward to it because I really want to talk about it. And Eric, we can change today's topic really quick.
Boom.
Let's talk about True Sight.
True
True
Sight.
Sight.
Okay.
Comes out the next day.
Yeah. Intro True Sight, intro this. I think it's really cool that we get to actually talk to you guys about it because it came out right after yours. Tell me a little about True Sight, young man.
I mean, when we're watching True Sight, which, how long has True Sight been out now? 4 episodes? First one was like EG's MDL run and their first time like competing as like their
the
new
first
team,
one was
right?
like it was like, it wasn't tournament stuff. It was like before stuff with like TNC, like Jimmy and Mushi, and like EG prepping.
It was Fnatic
for,
and EG.
Or excuse me, Fnatic, not
Yeah,
TNC.
it was Fnatic and EG. I think they were both to compete in an event, but yeah, it was a lot of behind the scenes, and that's what we're expecting when we see True Sights. Valve has access to a lot of this amazing footage, which a lot of other creative people are not going to be able to have this sweet access to. So we know we're going to get a lot of that raw goodness, I guess, as a fan. Like, we're going to, we were getting teased about it, especially with the OG Virtus Pro Frankfurt final
that
video.
Trailer, the trailer even, but the video itself that's their most one of the most popular True Sights. It is the most popular True Sight.
No, so I think this one was going to be pretty damn highly anticipated because we're going to get that full experience, and now with a TI winning team. So there's a lot of hype around it coming in. I feel like we did get a lot of that. It's a lot of raw. It didn't have a lot of the fancy, awesome, like contemporary elements I think we got with like Champions. It was just really focused on like you're gonna just. It's raw. Like that's all I can think about. Is like they're just going to give you the raw emotions, those raw meetups in the bathroom between the games. The players just in their purest form when the event is over, and it just lets everybody see that the full story to these players, like how they feel when they're the loser side. We love Champions. We love being able to see everything about Liquid and when it's over. But now we have Newbie in the other corner, and True Sight allows us to see that side a bit more.
And I think True Sight is interesting if we just look at it as a whole, where Valve has really shifted the way they create those. When it first started, it was much more behind the scenes, coming up to events, big name teams, what they do out of the game. And since the Kiev one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it? Yeah.
So
since Kiev, it's just about grand finals, and it's just about teams at grand finals and the innate drama of one wins, one loses. And that's it. They don't show any other shit. They don't do any interviews. All they do is show you what a team does before they go into that game, what a team does in that game, and they have, of course, booth audio, which nobody in the fucking world.
Everybody's mic'd.
Everybody
has individual lavs on, which is awesome.
The entire time.
Super cool, yeah.
I mean, they have monopoly on access and camera time, which are the two most important things you have. So you're essentially competing with them if you're anybody else, and nobody is going to take anybody but Valve over anything. But it's interesting to see the shift in dynamic, and I'm wondering what you guys think about it. I'm not sure it's what I like about what they do with these the best, but I do think it's a terrific strategy in terms of like saving money and saving time when you don't have to record everything. You don't have to like think about who you're going to shoot, how you're going to shoot it. Oh, I want to shoot stuff with the team before and then they don't make it to the tournament. Or, they don't even like do very well in the finals and then I got to shift gears. It's like they don't turn on the camera until the finals. Here are our two subjects. That's it. Tremendous way of focusing on everything. What do you guys think about what Valve's kind of like new approach is to True Sight and how they are doing the documentary series?
I think it was interesting watching it. It felt... So first of all the amazing character moments that they had with both teams, I thought was fantastic. Like the bathroom scene is super awesome, right?
Vape God.
Or like the scene in the booth where Curl's like, "Stop talking about winning, guys!" Like that's amazing.
Yeah,
dude.
Well, the big thing about that is, and what we did not get to see in that True Sight, because apparently it happens much before, is when Liquid get knocked down. Maybe you guys even know this. When Liquid get knocked down from the upper bracket, apparently like Curl had to sit down with the team, and he got pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like more intense than you've ever seen. And I feel like that was, and a lot of people had heard about that, and that was like a brief flash of what happened. And they just you could just hear the team, like they just snapped it together, like, sorry, we're in.
Yeah.
And I give him a lot of credit for that because, he doesn't want to be in that position again. He's facing Faith. He's facing the same player, and it feels like a throwback to TI2 in that grand final. He was just short before. He doesn't want it to happen again. He wants his team to be there with him, and he cracks the whip on it, and it's crazy.
Stop thinking about winning. Focus on this game.
Yeah.
That's what he says, and I was so pulled out when I watched that. It was holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude.
After already winning 2 in a row, like, damn, that's dope.
Yeah, winning well.
I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's like we're biased because we're like we want ours to be great and all this other stuff, but like you said before, the level of access that they have is just so like they could release that footage unedited on anything, and you just be like, damn, that's dope. And I think it was really well done. I think it's cool. From a technical side of things is like filmmaking, like the fact that they don't turn on the cameras until finals. Pretty cool. Like, you know, it's that one moment in time where like the two best teams in this one tournament go head to head, and then you get to see like the rawness of both sides. And I think that capturing the losing moment from Newbie was really interesting. Like they just like they fell apart emotionally.
And yeah, everybody talks about that shot, but I think it's more about the edit.
I enjoyed the whole thing, and maybe it's because I also know that like culturally Chinese players and like people that are that high level, like they only want to earn the respect of like their peers and their family, and to know that kind of like history just in general, for them to be so disappointed, and you can tell. And like when the one chick is like talking to him, she's like, "You're a normal human, you're not a god," and he's just like. That part was, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, dude, I'm jerking off if I'm editing and I have that as a line. I'm just like, holy fucking shit.
Well, you don't know at first, probably. I mean,
dude, no, I mean, if I'm editing and that's, I'm just like going through stuff and I hear her say that,
well,
I'm like, you just
until it gets translated
me.
and everything.
Oh, yeah,
true.
No, you're right.
Wait,
Fine,
he said that?
I read the transcript.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that is a gift from God when you're editing and you're just like, you just did everything. You said everything I wanted to say, and you said it correctly.
Yeah, you did the best you could.
Eric, can we really quickly pull up so this has been like a very popular moment in the series, which is what you're talking about. It's called the supervillain moment now.
This is the whole ending of this movie.
I love the birth of a
supervillain.
supervillain.
Yeah, let's
Feels
watch
like
it
a
really
movie.
quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're watching the clip that is from True Sight. We start with the TI players going to the tunnel. They're laughing. They can't believe they win TI. And we go directly to the booth. It cuts right to them looking at the stadium. Everybody's cheering for Liquid. And
the guys in the back removing the laugh.
Yeah, I know he's taking lights. It's over here. Give me your laugh. That the audio guy is just like on top of it. Right? At first, I thought he was grabbing a drink because that's where the fridge is.
Like,
But
you
it's
get
just
out of
like
the way,
you see
loser?
the excitement, and it's just like, okay, the excitement's over there, and you can just hear the sound come down a bit, the excitement come down a bit, and it just suddenly gets like super quiet. Like another scene like that was when they go in the elevator and go down together. It's just like,
oh yeah, I have that as well. Wow, the elevator shot is
it's
insane.
super uncomfortable,
dude.
It's
and
really
as a
uncomfortable.
filmer, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
I can't breathe, and
especially the photography guy in the back.
Yeah,
It's like, oh,
he snaps one photo and then he's like,
photos.
yeah, Eric, can you pull up the loser elevator photo still? It for me that is such an incredibly difficult shot to get. It's very, very dark on this television, but yeah. So you're in an elevator. He's got a super wide lens to be able to get everybody in there.
Yeah.
But my God, you know how hard that is to film? I feel like one of the toughest things to do in esports documentary stuff is filming a team after they lose. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that, about your strategy, about when you put the camera down and when you do, like in that scenario, you say, fuck it, basically, which is what that guy's saying, and you put the camera up in the guys' faces at their worst moment, and you get what is such an iconic and unbelievable series of shots because you do it. But there's been times when I'm just like, I can't do this, and I just turn my camera off, and I let the guys do their thing, and I realize I don't want to show that. Like, how do you feel about it, like shooting a losing team, especially after such a monumental loss like that?
What are your thoughts? I'm curious.
Thanks.
So I am extremely biased because I'm an editor first. And if somebody delivers me some shit that's not some epic devastation at the end, I'm like, what the fuck? And it like throws off everything, right? So when I shoot, I'm in the like, I don't give a fuck phase where like I'll shoot and there'll be tears and people will be really embarrassed or whatever. And I'll turn the camera off and go, just to let you know, not all of this is going to be used. If it makes you uncomfortable that I even have this, let me know.
Really?
Yeah, I say it all the time because you're in that moment and you can feel the awkwardness happening.
They're mad at you.
Yeah, they're mad at you. But anytime I film a team, even if it's our team, I'll go, I'm going to have the camera on you all the time. 85% of the stuff isn't going to be used. And if something that you say or do, if you notice that I have a camera on you, if you don't want it to be shown, immediately let me know because it won't be shown. And you give them the power, right?
That's huge.
And if you
Great strategy.
Yeah. And if it's one of those things where like I'm a third-party contractor and I'm doing my own thing and somebody's fucking crying and like snot's coming out of their nose, I'm like, well, I'm using this shit. And it would make them uncomfortable. That's weird for me as a content creator too, because I want to have a good relationship with these people so that next time they'll be like, oh, yo, that dude actually like listened to me and didn't put in that one shot of me doing X thing, or like took out the one shot of me like cursing out somebody or whatever. So it's a weird balance, but I always opt in for the like get the devastating moment, because it generates conversations like this where it's like, did you see that shot? Like, did you, oh my God, like that shit's crazy, blah, blah, blah. It was like, we were there. So I think you need that in order to have good content as a content creator, but you also need to be respectful of the moment as well. So it's like, I'm kind of on the fence, but I would lean more towards always filming.
It's tough because what was it? KP himself said, "Oh, True Sight's out," which is great for everybody but 5 people who have to watch it. And it's like, you watch those moments. Is like, is those kind of moments doing good for Newbie and as a team? I mean, people already are just they immediately go out and show support for Newbie and say, "We love you guys still," and maybe that support wasn't there if the documentary wasn't shown. So it's hard to say. It's like,
I think it did him some justice.
You want to tell the players like,
definitely-
we want to show you be human. We want to show you that you may have flaws and stuff like that.
But
and
they
we'll
left
do
in
better.
good lines. Like they left in like there's no shame in second place. You guys are still the #1 Chinese team. Learn from your mistakes. Come back next. So like the sound bites that they actually did use to get through that, I think were useful.
Yeah.
Because it didn't show just like complete and utter devastation. It was like there's an optimism that like kind of runs through that whole scene, which I thought was good for them to do.
Just has to be careful. I just imagine that those moments have to be super carefully done. You have to have those special kind of elements added in to make them really sell. And yeah, you don't want it to just be a sad story when you look over at Newbie and like, oh, there they are crying because they lost. They're sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I feel like I connect with them in that way, and I want them to win now more than ever.
Right. Yeah, I think for
What's
me,
your take on losing teams?
a lot of it is if at the end of the day it's, oh, you're the team that lost, period. Right? The last time we ever see you is when you lose and you're in the booth and then you walk off and you're sad and that's it. That's a pretty grim story, right? You don't know what is a team like, oh, fuck it, I don't care. Or are the players like, wow, I could have done better? Or are there people on the team that are like, oh, it's all my fault? Or players that are down on themselves? Those sort of moments build character, right? So if you have a player that is down on himself and, it's like, yeah, you're not a god. And like that whole process of saying like, this kid wants to strive to be something and he's not there yet and he didn't achieve his goal. Now he has more motivation to do it. That's important. As opposed to like, oh, you guys lost, I'll see you next year.
Yeah, I think it's really special to be able to capture those like with dignity and show those people as people who give more than just a fuck, but like a fuck and a shit, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And this, so because I feel like because of that devastating ending, because of the different way they approached it, this time people are calling this like one of the best True Sights ever. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Mr. Dota God? Is this your favorite True Sight? Where does this rank in True Sights?
It's hard because it's the first TI True Sight. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's like huge event, huge team to follow. I would say best so far. It feels comfortable to say that. Yeah.
I think so. I think it was the most focused of them, which made it really good. It wasn't so meandering and random and like look at us playing games and
No
hanging
sort
out.
of side random spurts of, oh, they're creating a narrative that may not have been there. Like
Right.
when they're talking about the OG VP thing. We're trying to make one team look
Yeah.
evil, one
Yeah.
look good.
Did you guys hear about that at all? Okay,
the-
so
I mean, I've heard about it. I haven't watched the episode though.
yeah, so during the major in Kiev, they had a True Sight episode about the finals, and they kind of made VP look like villains, and they really kind of made this good guy bad guy thing instead of two people fighting for this thing. And there was a lot of backlash from VP as an org, VP the players, community as well, towards Valve. And I do feel like they took that feedback, and with this one, like you're saying, they really just presented it as it was, at least as much as they can.
This is going to be, I imagine, something amazing to watch in the future. It's hard because I don't want to just say, oh, Dota and NBA, but if we watched like the Chicago Bulls in their grand final event that they had against, whoever, and we got to go back and watch it, and those raw elements, the mics, the between game meetings or whatever, like that's going to be a awesome thing to be able to watch. Champions, True Sight, it's going to be great.
It's definitely important in the history of all this. Did you guys happen to catch what they were shooting on? I want to shift focus on story, unless you guys have other topics you
Hardware?
want to talk about the story of True Sight and everything.
No, what they were shooting on. So
Did you catch any of it?
yeah, I think they were shooting on FS7s
There
What?
might have been
or
a red.
or a C300.
I think they were on reds also.
Okay.
Because I think there's a red in one of the
Well,
shots.
so it's weird, right? Because
Yeah.
you have the production camera guys that are running around for just stream.
Yeah.
You have other random guys that are using.
There were a lot
like,
of dudes on FS7s. There were at least 2 to 3 FS7s.
They have a whole
And they were
bunch
using
of
Cook
different
lenses.
camera crews. Yes, they did have.
Yeah.
So the Cook guys, I believe, are the True Sight guys
I think so.
because
Which was one of my actual problems about True Sight.
What?
Is that everything was slightly out of focus on the edges. Like it just had this
it's
weird...
it's like, it looked all anamorphic to me. Hey Eric, can you pull up? I grabbed 2 Steam grabs of anamorphic
Okay,
that I
yeah.
was like, so these
I
are
don't wanna
things that to me scream I'm shooting on. I have no idea what they're shooting on. This to me.
Which is fine.
This
'cause you
exactly
get
what
the
you're
nice
saying.
lens flare.
Everything's out of focus. The edges are super blurred out, and even him who is in focus, like, is not in focus. And then lens flares are crazy. There's another lens flares, especially like that kind of lens flare to me looks super anamorphic.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't know.
You don't like that? I love that. I love that old vintage glass shit.
So I do and I don't. It's one of those weird things where it's like, I don't want to talk shit on True Sight because it was so good.
Of course,
But-
and we're not talking. This is just talking. I mean, this is opinions
Talking
on
shop.
Yeah, we're talking shop.
This is
This
gear.
is a
You have-
perspective that I guarantee like 98% of
Sure.
the people watching are not gonna have that kind
But
of
you
resource.
have the most unrestricted access to these teams.
Yeah.
You have the most unrestricted media streaming in from all over the place, the highest quality that you can possibly have it.
Everything.
And then you slap a lens on a camera that makes things look out of focus. Which artistically, sure, but like you're shooting a follow doc. And these dudes are running around with like their cameras mounted on their chest plates with their little things and like they're trying to pull focus. They don't have an AC that's doing this for them. They don't have somebody on remote that's doing this for them. Why? Like
They go really heavy into it, but then don't do everything.
why do and like from an editing perspective for me, I was all over the place on this. I'm like, what are they doing with these subtitles? Like I heard a lot of like pops in the audio where they didn't crossfade stuff. Like it wasn't color graded in some spots. It looked like
The grade is really weird.
super weird.
It's super dark.
It's super weird. Yeah.
It's super like grim, and like it doesn't feel like what you'd want to represent the championship of it. Like I looked at your 2 videos side to side, and I was just like, this is fucking crazy. The color grade that you guys did feels like super fun, big energy, lots of color, sharp, cool, and then theirs is super dim,
Yeah.
Dark Knight.
super muddy, super
Yeah, it
dark.
feels like a
Knight.
Real, like,
cinematic superhero
desaturated,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely Dark Knight-ish.
The
That,
whole
what
fucking
helps that
thing.
whole thing look like he's turning into an evil villain. It's just because like
Yeah.
that whole ending
Yeah.
felt like Creed, the Rocky movie where they won, and it's like, am I watching the real event? Or I mean, I was watching with Amanda, and it just felt so like a movie. Like when
Yeah.
they take the Aegis and walk away, it really, maybe it was a bit too dark. I don't know.
and maybe
which
not.
is I think what makes True Sight kind of cool.
Yeah.
At the same time, because we weren't trying to be True Sight. You know, like we were operating solely on the emotion that we felt while we were there. Obviously, what we were able to get and not get.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the design theme that we wanted to do, which is like this cool paint, like draw thing, like lots of colors in some
yeah,
spots.
a lot more poppy. A lot
Yeah,
more shit
and
going
just
on.
you know, it's kind of stuff like that. And we wanted to tell the whole story. They just told the story of the finals, which is totally fine. They got a lot of shit that like nobody ever would have seen otherwise, which I think is super cool. But yeah, like from an editing technical perspective, he even said, he was like, I feel like they rushed this out a little bit.
I do feel like the sound design was very rushed. It was not. Valve does amazing work with their sound. They do unbelievable shit, and it felt like to me they were just pulling like trailer strings and like things that we've heard from. Like it was all very Dark Knighty, all very trailery, all very moody.
some good hard violins in there.
Yeah,
going.
and
The gameplay for me was the part that
Oh, that's the other
it
one.
was
yeah.
like it looks
They
like
pushed into the stream.
they either just took stream footage, but not even the source stuff that they have, or they like shot a screen with the same anamorphic lens because it
Yeah.
looks slightly out of focus.
you think that?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe they bowed it. It did,
just-
dude.
it
It was
looked
crazy.
a
'Cause it was
little
so
weird.
cropped in and definitely like somehow distorted. I was thinking
Right.
that too when I was watching. I was like, I don't know what's happening. It just looks weird. Maybe they filmed the screen. That might be it. I feel like you usually see like some more pixels though, like actual screen pixels when you do
Yeah.
that.
You can really tell on that first scene where they push into like the little pods that the guys are in before they even go out on stage, where they're all sitting around and Kuroki's like, "This is like I've been doing this. I've been waiting for this for years." Everybody's out of focus.
Everybody-
Every single person.
Dude, the last shot when Kuroki is holding up the thing,
Yeah.
that whole shot is out of focus.
Yeah.
And that's a symptom of the lens. Yeah. It's like, and that's where I don't like that. But for the majority of this movie, and I say movie because it's like kind of,
Feels
but then,
feels
but then
like
they
one.
hit what they were trying to do. Then,
Yeah, it feels
because people
great.
are calling it a movie, which is like
I love
cool,
the visual
awesome.
style of it. I'm not sold on the color. That's a very technical myth that is like kind of just that's what they're going for. That's fine. That's cool. It's sick. It looks great. It's colored great. Not the way I would do it. That's all.
Yeah.
So what I want to do, we're geeking out about gear. One of the last things I want to do is that I always am a huge nerd and take pictures of everybody I see with a camera at any event. And so I got one picture of a Valve guy that I want to pull up, Eric, and I want to talk about it. So this is kind of hard to see.
Look at
okay.
that. Now, from a non-creative content perspective, you're watching this, and this dude's turning into a robot or something. Like that must be some crazy piece of equipment that he needs this whole brace setup to hold it properly.
The Dr. Octopus rig,
That's crazy.
So I don't know which part of the Valve team this is. I don't think it's their first team, and I don't think I think he's getting general coverage for other pieces that they're doing. I don't think it's the True Sight team, but. Either way, that you have a video guy fully decked out, audio guy fully decked out, and a producer with them. And I want to ask you guys to try to figure out how much money is in this picture.
Including the gear?
With the gear.
Including the producer's
Not the day
salary?
rates, not the producer's salary. Yeah, because that doubles everything.
So
Wait,
hardware,
including day rates?
hardware.
We're including day rates?
No, not including day rates. We're just talking about hardware. So here's the deal.
Okay.
I think
Can
people
we zoom
do
in on the
not
camera?
Eric might be able to zoom in.
I don't know what that is.
People understand how much people spend to just get a shot and how much Valve spends to do everything that they do.
Oh, this is so cool, Dan. All right.
Yeah, I want to see.
All right.
So people listening on the podcast right now, we're looking at a screen cap of 3 members of the Valve content team, we assume. Like Dan said, there is some sort of producer there. He's got the book. He's got a book with a shit ton of notes on it. He's got the mic and ear set up. There's one camera guy who's got a huge contraption on his back with a huge camera. And then finally a sound guy. Boom mic in hand, headphones, some sort of vest on him, a fanny pack loaded with shit. Lots of
after further
stuff
review.
Here. Okay, so you
so
guys
by
got
the
to
way,
look deep.
Ian and Damien just jumped up and looked. They got real close to the screen and tried to pixel peep all the gear in this. And now they're going to give us our thoughts. Or their thoughts.
Camera rig, somewhere in the ballpark of 15K, I would imagine. 12 to 15.
For the rig. That's just the rig, not the camera?
No, that's the camera, the
whole
lens,
camera,
and,
the
and the rig. Yeah, I'd say is
$15,000.
about, yeah, it's like somewhere in the ballpark of 13 to 15. I don't really know what the audio guy is using as far as a mixer goes, because that can really...
That's
a huge thing. But I would say that audio rig is easily 5K worth of gear. So you're running 20 to 22K just worth of hardware, not including day rates or producing fees or anything like that.
Obviously, if you rent it, price dramatically
much different.
drops.
True. Yeah. It could be a rental.
We're going to assume these guys own it. We're going to assume it. Okay, so I had a lot more time.
At the Valve office, someone said there's like reds all over in one of those rooms. So
yes. Okay, I saw it firsthand when I went to Valve. They had an entire room filled with red boxes, first fucking like all first party gear, and it was just like piled in a corner to the ceiling. Not even kidding. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And that was after TI4. But okay, so I took a big, zoom in, nerd out, figure out everything. I'm going to run you through all the gear they have, okay?
Were we close?
You were halfway there.
Holy shit.
All right, the total amount that I got
700
from my...
700?
No, it is,
Okay.
dude, it's a 300.
Okay.
It is not the 500. I thought it was a 300. I figured out, but when you zoom in here, you can see that it only has one layer of SDIs, and the 500 has 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that is
C300. Okay.
So that is a C300 Mark II. That's a $10,000 camera. Now, some things I just kind of like guessed on because I can't see. I remember him having a monitor. I'm pretty sure it's a small HD. That can range anywhere from 500 to 1500. I just put on the low end. I said it's probably not the Touch, the new one. So it's probably $500, okay? Then the lens, that is the Canon Cinema Zoom 15.5 to 47 millimeter. That's a T, not an F, a T 2.8 because it's a cinema lens.
Yeah.
That is $23,000 lens.
Shit.
Okay.
Just a Civic?
I thought it was a Cineprime. I couldn't tell by looking at it on a screen.
Camera's 10,000. Lens is
23,000.
So the thing about lenses is that you can put like a really, really good lens on the most shit tier camera, and your footage will look amazing.
Yes, that is where you should spend
It's
your money.
absolutely true. You spend money on your lenses, hands down, like 100%.
So now
But that's crazy.
It's insane, dude. And
then
so the contraption that he has, you
Yeah.
can't see this here on the podcast. You're only listening. He's wearing what looks like a robot suit from the Neil Blomkamp movie that Matt Damon throws on and punches people in space. All right. It is called an Easy Rig. There's tons of variations of this. There's the Ready Rig. There's an Easy Rig. Blah blah. This is the Easy Rig Vario 5. They also had guys on there that had the other one, the super expensive one that has the
one with the
balancing
two?
on the top. No, that's the Ready Rig.
Oh, okay.
The Easy Rig has a module that goes on the top that is like a hydraulic spring
Oh,
or
yeah.
some shit that helps balance. It's called like the smooth sync system or whatever. That's extra. This is the Easy Rig Vario 5. That's $5,000. Okay. Now here's an expensive item that you don't think about is that battery. You see that battery on the back.
Oh.
This is the new Anton Bauer battery. I couldn't even I was like, I can't fucking tell what this is. Our DP, Andrew, recognized it right away. Oh, that's a new Anton Bauer design. That is the Anton Bauer Digital 90 Gold battery. That's a $270 battery, folks.
Wow.
Wait,
This is why
camera battery?
Camera battery, $270. This is why you do not get into photography or video as a hobby.
Oh yeah.
Just realize that this guy that looks like a dork with a bunch of shit on him is got about 30 grand of shit. Okay,
Yeah, there's a nice car all over his body right there.
that's one. Actually, it's $38,000. Now the audio guy, I super zoomed, and one thing you can tell with audio, if you don't know this, is that he has a blue wind guard
Yeah.
shit on his thing. That is Shep. I can't remember Shep's. That's a Shep's mic. That is a super high-end professional quality microphone, and that is the Shep's Mini CMIT. That's $2,000. He has. I am gonna just guess. I just put a guess together and said that he has the sound devices 6-channel because I'm guessing he has to record at least 5 people plus a boom mic. So that's a 6-channel. Whatever. $5,000 for the audio mixer. Probably around there. Could be about $3,000 more. Could be about $10,000 more. Could be about $3,000 less. Whatever. I put it in the middle. $5,000. The boom pole took me a while to find. That is a K-Tech boom pole. You can tell by the nub on the bottom of it. Okay?
Interesting.
Look
yeah.
at this guy.
That's a K-Tech.
Yeah,
Right. Dan went
you went
CSI
in,
on
dude.
this, dude.
Yeah, wow.
That's $700.
You gave us 30 seconds to come up with a number, and you spent, it sounds like days on this.
It's just fun to, like, you think about it as nothing. Even guys that are pros, when they look at it, they don't even think about how ridiculous. I didn't think. My guess was $20,000.
Yeah.
When I looked at it, I said $20,000 on this.
Yeah.
The harness he's wearing, that is the Orca OR50 harness. That is $150, guys, just for that vest, okay? His
Worth
bag,
it, though. Worth every fucking cent for that vest.
Oh, yeah,
though.
that's a nice vest. That's a nice vest. I like that one because the other ones are a lot thicker. This is a mesh one, so it's a lot lighter.
Yeah.
K-Tech audio bag. I'm quite positive because of the colors on that it's not an Orca bag. Orca's shit is all blue. K-Tech is orange, so I'm pretty sure that's a K-Tech, which is about $300. His headphones, I know, are the Audio-Technica
I have
ATH.
those.
Yeah, the
same.
monitor headphones. Yeah,
Yep.
everybody uses them professional standard, $150. Actually, kind of affordable. So my total came to about just under $50,000 for these two guys to hang out. That is not including day rates, ladies and gentlemen, which these guys, depending on where they're at, low end $500 a day, high end $2,500 a day. You know, like this is where you're going to get for any of these people. It is not cheap to film, and Valve spends money.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why when you look at their content compared to other people's, they do not hold back. I'm pretty sure this guy was just getting B-roll for shit. Like he was out. This is the beer tent. Like I was hammered, hanging out here. Like let me see your gear. You know, like whatever. I can see Greg in there.
Wait, Greg's back there?
Where? Oh, he's right there. Yeah, there's
Hey,
Greg.
there's old
Greg's
Greg.
right there.
That's
I think
funny.
Tiffany's over there.
What I think it's funny is that you scope
yeah.
creep people and take photos of them when they're not paying attention.
I have a whole
at every
library.
event that you go to.
I have a whole library of it. I just go through and I just look at all their gear and I just like I'm trying to figure out what everybody's shooting
You
on.
just stream.
Yeah. Yeah. I was there talking
One
about
day.
it.
That's so crazy.
I don't know, guys. There's my pixel peep. It's a gear peep this week.
That's
I
a
don't know.
gear peep. I like that.
it. I like
That's
the gear
fun.
peep.
That
I
was
like
good. That
talking
was
about
fun.
it. People
Makes me
people
feel real bad about
underestimate it.
myself.
No, dude. I mean, dude, fuck, it's crazy. People there are just like, it's just the same way when they're like, you shot the footage, right? Like, it's not as simple as it looks. Just taking an image of somebody is not as simple as it looks. That's 3 people, professionals, probably been doing this. Those guys, this guy's middle-aged, this guy's probably around our age, probably been doing it a combined 70 years, and they got $50,000 worth of gear on them. It's not as simple as it looks, and it takes a lot of practice and technique.
It's very true. It's very true.
We've been going for just under 2 hours, guys. We're at 1 hour and 15 minutes. I want to wrap it
Good
up.
old movie buff.
I want to let you guys have the floor for anything you want to talk about. What projects are you working on now? What are you doing next? What's coming on? Who you want to shout out? Whatever. Damien, you first.
Ian, you first.
Ian,
No, you
Ian
can't keep doing
first.
that to me. No,
Oh,
I know.
No, I'm gonna throw it back to you.
That was a joke. What are we working on next? I don't even know. Actually, some CS:GO stuff. So the CS:GO dudes went out to Mykonos, and so none of us were there because we were still powering through
The beautiful
champions
island.
and finishing up some other content. And so their team manager Joka, who had mentioned earlier, we just sent him out with an A7, and he just grabbed whatever he could.
Are Joka vlogs back? Are those gonna happen?
This one I think is going to be
I think.
Yeah, he's like all over the place with this little toy. You know,
Yeah.
he's just like wobbling around.
And so we're currently cutting a Joka Mykonos directed shot piece.
Beautiful.
Which is what they're working on now.
Counter-Strike team, this is the fun thing about these guys. They work in League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Dota, everything in between. They touch them all. And you guys got great guys on all your teams. Counter-Strike team is wonderful. Those are good guys. I love those guys.
I love the CS:GO guys.
Yeah, they're pretty sick.
I think they're my probably my favorites.
All right, so you're working on that. Expect that to come out soon. What else?
We're kind of brainstorming a lot of Halloween stuff. We're trying to do something cool for Halloween.
Yeah, we're doing like this little murder mystery thing, I think.
Are you guys getting spooky over there?
A little bit, yeah, for October.
Yeah. I might need some advice on some stuff, you know?
All right, let's
Yeah.
hang out, dude.
Trade secrets. All right.
Yeah.
I think we'll actually be.
We'll trade you for the projector thing that we gave you.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
already stolen. That's ours. I don't know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
That's long
You
gone.
got that from us. Dude.
I never remember you telling me.
We'll probably do
anything
another
about
episode of Champions.
that. Really?
yeah.
More Dota content coming
Yeah,
our way.
I think we are. Yeah.
What would that be like?
Trying to
Thank
trying to
Like
go out to their.
time after TI? Like
Well, no. So
could,
trying to
or-
go to their Berlin boot camp and then
Okay.
into ESL Hamburg.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we're gonna do the. Hopefully, I mean, ideally, we do the boot camp run into ESL 1, into hopefully another win, and just keep that train a moving.
I mean, either way, and the title is so apt now because now they're champions for this entire year.
Yeah,
so any content
even
you
if
do.
they start losing, they're still
still
champions.
champions.
They're still champions.
Once upon
Still
a time,
champions,
yeah.
man. I really want to focus more on the upcoming episodes, more on backstories and personalities. Obviously, this one to kick it off is like they're the world champions. That is their thing. And then now let's talk about like everyone's personality and like where everyone came from, and that's some of the goal I think moving forward.
Yeah. We have a lot of stuff that we can't talk about right now.
Awesome, as
course.
always.
That's coming out.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Contracts are being signed, et cetera, et cetera. But once they do, it'll be pretty cool. And yeah, we're just kind of looking to 2018 to try to do squad on a weekly basis for League.
A weekly basis.
Yeah, just do shorter episodes. We took a
You
look
guys
at
are
our
fucking-
analytics on
Wanna
YouTube.
kill
and-
yourselves? What are you doing?
No, it's one of those things where like we'll spend weeks working on a 30 to 40 minute thing when the drop off rate and attention span of people are like
7
8 to
minutes.
7 minutes. Like
Yeah.
7-8 minutes.
And content really only the shelf life is like
so
now
short.
or never.
It's so short. Yeah. So I think we're going to try to do like 5 to 7 minute episodes once a week to keep timely stuff going with the League team. So just trying to figure out logistics, trying to figure out new branding direction, new graphic design. We're getting a new office, which is pretty cool. So like working
That's
with all
probably going to be a couple weeks of just like
Yeah.
getting in.
Dealing with
working
that
with
shit.
people to like we're having a server built and like doing all that stuff and transferring our 82 terabytes worth of shit that we have onto the server and like figuring all that out and
Ooh, we should talk servers, guys. I just got a great
That-
server. If you just see it in my
it's
room.
actually I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
But back to what you were talking about of us using footage from the past.
Yeah.
Like having that archive is
Oh my
super
God.
important.
Oh,
Yeah.
very important. That's why when we yeah, I mean, we could nerd about. I think there's an entire episode about analytics, understanding your content, understanding your release, as well as strategy around video content, and then technical side. It's a whole, barrel of bananas, and it's fun if you're into that shit, which I am. I love it. I love figuring it out. I love the problem solving of hardware and creative and all the kind of combination of it.
me too.
It's super cool.
But sometimes I wish I could just hand it to somebody and go, you deal with this now.
Just get more money, hire people. It's not that hard, guys. What are you doing? Where's your money? I don't know.
That's true.
Well, this has been my favorite episode because I got to nerd out with these
Fantastic.
awesome guys.
That was amazing.
Hey,
Once
thanks,
again,
man.
Damian Estrada at Damian Estrada at OneUpGG. Ian at Ian. Wait, what? Not Ian Sands. At not Ian Sands.
Not me. Not Ian Sands.
Also, his YouTube. Make cool stuff. I'm sorry. What is it again?
Learn.
YouTube.com/learn how to edit stuff.
Learn how to edit stuff.
If you want to learn how to edit stuff, I got you.
Become an esports content creator today.
You guys have fun?
Yeah.
It was all right.
It's all right.
All right, Scott, do you want to get us out of here?
Yeah, man. That was an awesome episode of Movie Buffed. We actually don't know what we're going to be doing on the next Movie Buffed.
We don't know what's
We've
next.
been toying around with maybe we'll check out the new Blade Runner movie, or we might just go back to another old nostalgic classic and talk about how dark and terrible the movie actually is, like how the Wizard was. But yeah, we'll definitely get on the Movie Buff announcement. Tomorrow, though, we'll be back with another podcast. Hot Cox again will be back tomorrow. We're going to have Ken back in the studio, myself. We're going to have Phil of Evil Geniuses here to talk. We'll be talking a bit about the new Optic Gaming team and some other various drama news and tidbits that have been happening over the past week. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, you can catch this VOD. You can catch all of our other podcasts on our SoundCloud, on the Beyond the Summit YouTube, on our iTunes, on the Google Play, and all that other various awesome shit.
I like the Google Play. Just saying.
Google Play is really good. But yeah,
Hell yeah.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, guys, for coming by and hanging out. We'll see you next time on more Beyond the Summit and more podcast action. Take care.